We'll have a moment of silence followed by a pledge of allegiance to the flag. I, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. We have the roll call, please.
Commissioner Fairchild,
Present.
Commissioner Overly Smith,
Present.
Commissioner Martin, Commissioner Walsh,
Present.
Commissioner Clark.
Present.
I'd like to announce that this meeting will be live streamed for those who wish to attend virtually. A recording of the meeting will also be available afterward for anyone who cannot join in real time. I'd like to remind speakers to identify their names and addresses and to speak directly into the microphone. I'd like to advise the public that we had an executive session immediately prior to this meeting to discuss litigation. And we also had an executive session on June the 22nd to discuss privileged legal advice. Last year, the commissioners approved and budgeted to install a solar panel system on the township facility roof right above us here. The system consists of 421 solar panels, which will generate 270 kilowatt hours of energy. The system will produce enough energy to cover approximately 25 to 30% of all township usage. The system was commissioned and turned on Monday, June the 29th. Live monitoring data will be available after next week, and the data will either be broadcasted to the website or onto a monitor in the hallway. So I want you to be aware of that. Next, we have the consideration approval of the minutes from June 3rd, 2026.
I move their approval.
A second.
Any comments or questions about the minutes? I had an observation, Alexis, that they seem somewhat shorter and a little different in tone. Is that like a software improvement or something, or how did that come about?
Those were mostly done with AI through the transcript.
Okay. Was there a difference, or am I just imagining that?
No,
they
this
seem
is a
shorter?
difference. Unfortunately, this set of minutes was pretty rushed,
Mhm.
just due to other circumstances. So I wasn't particularly happy with this set of minutes. But it's what you have before you.
Okay. And that was the meeting that we issued a public statement on the data center proposed for Monroe Township. Of course, it was held off for now or postponed. Are we able to attach that to the minutes, that statement?
Certainly.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions, comments?
No.
We have a motion. Well, we do have a motion. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Next, we have President's recognition of visitors. And this is also a time for anybody who wishes to speak to an item not on the agenda. Do we have anybody who wishes to speak to an item not on the agenda? You could raise your hand or come forward. Okay.
Good evening, Jim Cochran, 34 Allison Avenue. I'd like to address the map that's been put up on the website. And I placed copies of the map, plus.
Can't that wait till land preservation? That's only.
This is about the map. It's not about the land preservation.
No, it's a map about land preservation.
This was presented on the website, and that's what, if I talk now about the map, then I can't talk later about other issues on the website, the way you've got it set up, right?
Okay.
So, also attached to that is a list of properties. And I gave a copy of that to the township to put up. There's the map. The properties that are non-farm are listed 1 through 16, and farms are listed A through K. Several of us spent a couple days going through the tax register and looking up these properties. This map was done by Natural Lands, and we've been unable to get any information from the board as to how many acres you think you can preserve or where those acres might be. Commissioner Fairchild has said it's 1,400. He's put 1,418 on a personal website, but there's no list and there's no map. So this was the map done by Natural Lands, and we used it and went down and we looked at the properties that are listed on here, and it's pretty obvious that Natural Lands either did this rushed or didn't know much about the township. When you look at the properties, there's 522 acres that are owned by developers or people whose companies build homes. The largest being Hollinger with 175 acres. We also have Oakwood Hills, and that's already had a plan presented. There's 60 acres there. Rosalie Rowland owns 51 acres. She's presented a plan on that. So that's what the yes means under the plan column. If you've already seen a plan on that property, you know it's already well on its way to a development, and yet it's listed on the map as possibly preserved, which you're not going to have somebody spend good money on a property to develop it and then turn around and preserve it for something much less. The second column is other preservation, and that other preservation shows properties like Messiah University. They said that that was 52 acres of that would possibly be preserved. PP&L substation, Mechanicsburg School District property, Mechanicsburg Cemetery, Chestnut Grove Cemetery, and Winding Hills Homeowners Association open space, which is part of the plan. They can't develop that. So there we have another 214 acres that you really can't preserve. And in the last column, we have the farms. And if you look at the farms, I've said, are they agricultural? Are they eligible for the county's agricultural easement program? And if it says yes, and they all do, that means they could be preserved by the county. If they have an asterisk next to them, they're already in the agricultural security agreement. So there you have 538 acres. So what we pointed out on this map, there's 1,275 acres that really you don't need to do anything. They either can't be preserved or they can be preserved by the county. And so we're still wondering, where's the 1,400 acres? Because we just don't see it. Thank you.
So Jim, I had one spreadsheet of the farms already in the ACE program, 406, 7.75 acres. I prepared my own spreadsheets months ago, went through this. I have farms already in ASA.
Well, if they're already in ASA, you don't need to spend money on them.
And
They're not protected, Mr. Cochran.
492.
Okay, we have the
ASA is not permanent protection.
right, but the ASA is
And then-
on here.
Parcels over 15 acres, not in ASA, 841 acres. So you can add them all up. I did not go down to the 10-acre limit that other townships use, but you're making, a big issue that isn't there in your
No,
own
it's there.
interpretation.
These are
But
on
anyway, we're
they're on
going to
your
get
map.
to it on the agenda. So how
Okay.
about you come back?
Thank
then?
you.
Next, we have consideration of bills in the amount of $666,384.81. Of a motion.
I move the approval of the disbursement to pay the bills.
Second,
I would just comment that the other part of the solar installation is the final bill, I believe, in the amount of $388,578. So that's the biggest item within the bills.
And I would notice, Commissioner Fairchild, there was a payment for $1.23 for a grease fitting.
That's how we do it here. I pick the highest, Ken picks the lowest.
if I may
Hope it
make a,
averages out.
Mr. Fairchild, if I may make a correction, Mr. Martin, I believe we had a 22-cent entry in this chart.
Did I miss it?
A fleet repair O-ring.
Oh,
Yeah.
I defer, Commissioner Walsh. I apologize for overlooking that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So, ready to, all those in favor of approving the bills?
Aye.
Those opposed, none. The bills are approved. Next, we have Public Safety Committee. That would be Police Chief Parsons, if you wish to speak.
Yeah, thank you. Swearing in today are two new officers, Alex Groff and Catherine Wilhite.
And they've started their training. Thank you. They've started their training already. And then next week, Dalton Mance and Zachary Coldren are starting the police academy. So anybody interested in becoming a police officer in Cumberland County, we're holding one of our testing consortiums on September 13th. I know this is video recorded, so maybe somebody's listening who wants to be a police officer. September 13th at Cedar Crest High School. All the county agencies are participating in that. So we did do an analysis, mid-year crash data. We did have a reduction in total crashes the first half of this year compared to the first half of last year of 15. Our top roadways where crashes occur are Route 15, South Market, and Gettysburg Pike. And that's all I have. I'll take any questions.
We saw some pictures of the swearing in, very eloquent in the courtroom, and the cadets in uniform. And a lot of public support. I believe Karen, Ken, and Phil were there. So,
Yes, and Commissioner
members
Martin.
of the civil
And so appreciate the support. Yes, it was Judge Christy Lee Peck was kind enough to take some time out of her busy schedule to swear these two officers in. She's been doing that for us for maybe about 10 years now. So we really appreciate it, but it is nice to have them at the county courthouse for that. So.
Hey, Chief Schomburger.
Yes, I just wanted to extend my gratitude to the township staff for the submission of the SAFER grant application on behalf of the fire department. This will significantly contribute to offsetting the expenses with the department's incentive program. Hopefully we'll have a successful outcome. So, and I'll entertain any questions.
I think you're good. Okay, thank you. Next, we have planning and zoning, Tolman Street lot, maintenance of slope, open space lot. It's number OS-8. And is that Mr. Welch to present first? And then I see probably the gentleman from the Homeowners Association.
Bob Piatek, 915 Tolman Street. I'm representing the master HOA for the Orchard Glen community. This is the third time we are coming before the board with a kind of unique situation. I'm sure you were given a summary of what we did. Hopefully you've had a chance to, excuse me, peruse it. The last time we were here, the board generously gave us until today to come up with a plan to address the hill behind the odd number homes on Tolman Street. They're actually considered the garden homes. We have 3 or 4 of our residents that have worked tirelessly for the last, since the last meeting to try and come up with a solution to the area. The most promising was the Chesapeake Bay Alliance, which is a nonprofit, and they provide services, guidance, and actually the labor to do this, including the plantings and so on, the trees. They were very supportive of us. They came out and actually looked at it. Once they saw the area, they kind of threw their hands up and said, there's nothing we can do with it. It's just too steep. It wouldn't take the plants that they were going to put in there, the type of trees. So we've kind of come up to a dead end. We're still looking to do the right thing, that being environmentally, physically, and financially. Something that would benefit the environment, something that would benefit the people of the community, and also not cause erosion or anything like that. We are looking into doing something at the expense of the Homeowners Association. The issue is we're trying to find someone that actually has the equipment that would be able to do it and the wherewithal to do it. That may wind up being a multi-year project, only because of the expense involved and the time and effort that it would take. So we're still looking to get permission from the board to not mow the area, not do anything with the area, just let it go. I understand there's ordinances in place, and I was told by Mike Welt, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank both Mike and Alexis for their help. They've been very helpful with us. But I was told that in order to do this, to get a change, it would actually be a change for the entire community, for the township. So that's where we stand. Hopefully we can come up with some solution to it.
Expand on your last comment in terms of it would be a change for the entire.
It's an ordinance, an
Oh, to
ordinance.
change the ordinance. I see.
Right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
To get an exception to the ordinance.
Right.
yeah, That would benefit just your situation.
Right. So that's where we stand. Hopefully we can come up with some solution. Again, we're trying to do the right thing. It's not something we planned on, believe me. It's something we were given, so.
So a question for the solicitor. So if this is a unique situation and, excuse me, the homeowners are looking to try to come up with a suitable solution, is there an easy way or a non-binding or non-precedent setting way to grant them permission to do something in this unique situation?
Is it my understanding, you've been here
You're not
before?
turned on, Josh.
Am I? Yeah. You've been here before and it was understood you were going to make this proposal in the past, correct?
We've been looking at ways to remediate the area to whatever that was going to be. Like I said, we looked into various avenues, the best being the Chesapeake Bay Alliance. Unfortunately, they said that there was nothing they could do with it. They were willing to do the top part, okay, which is a level area. But that's not something we were interested in doing at that point.
So what's the HOA proposing?
We're just asking for permission to forego mowing that one particular area due to the grade of the area. What happens when it is mowed, all right, it increases erosion, it increases silt and so on going into the swale, which is part of the stormwater system for the community, which ultimately does go into the Chesapeake. That's all we're asking, basically. Just can we leave it be?
I don't believe so because I mean, that's how this all started. Mike
Granted.
saw there's the violation there and
Right.
it has to be, I thought there was going to be a solution proposed where there would be different plantings or natural plantings that.
Well, that's what we're looking to do, and we're still pursuing that avenue. It's not that easy to find somebody that's actually willing to go in there or has the wherewithal to go in and the equipment. So we are looking at it. We haven't gotten any anything concrete yet, but we are looking at that. And again, that may be a multi-year project only because of the expense. I'm sorry.
I agree with Mr. Welt that the township can't just let it go because then that would be, then other property owners that didn't, for whatever.
and-
I mean, and there's probably other property owners that have other unique circumstances that.
Right.
Maybe there's other
No.
properties, other situations that are similar to this, and what are they doing and how are they solving their problems? And have we contacted them and other ones?
Alexis and Mike actually gave us some areas that, and other communities that have similar issues. And some of it was going through like the Chesapeake Bay Alliance. Unfortunately, when they came and looked at ours,
Mhm.
they kind of threw their arms up and said,
Yeah, but the ones that are successful, who are they and what are they doing and where are
one
they?
of them, I believe, is it where you are actually, Mike? Yeah.
Yeah, my development, which is over on the other shore, we had the Alliance come and planted 1,600 trees and shrubs on our slope so that we no longer have to mow those areas after the forest grows up to
Mhm.
replace it. But our slopes are much more gentle and not the steep
Mhm.
issues they have here, which is why the Alliance had to back out.
Mhm.
One additional issue is that the HOA has filed an appeal, which has stayed for the moment, but the commissioners cannot just say, no, you don't have to mow this area. Like we would have to have, you can appeal Mr. Welt's decision, and then the commissioners would have to have a hearing,
Okay.
and they would have to make a decision after a hearing. They couldn't just make a decision.
Right,
based on
I realize
application.
that.
But I just scanned the memo, so I'm not totally familiar with, but if I think they've made some progress, as I understand, and contacted Chesapeake Bay. In your memo, you're suggesting that working with a landscape contractor to try to see what alternatives there are to mowing it by putting in native plants or wildflowers
Correct.
or whatever.
Right.
How much time do you think, when would you be in a position to come back with a proposal to us?
In speaking to one or two of landscapers that we
Yeah.
have working in the community, their thoughts are that it's the best time to plant something like that in an area like that would be in the fall.
Correct. So in order to engage that, you should have a proposal, I would think, by the end of August in terms of what you're going to do and how you're going to approach it. And then our staff, along with board input or whomever makes that decision, ought to be in a position to say, yeah, that's a good idea, or that won't work. I mean, I guess I'm looking for a way, it seems you've been here before. I think you're making progress. I don't deny your good intent. So I'd like to find a way at least to accommodate that and see if we can come up with a decent proposal that's satisfactory to all sides, because mowing is a safety issue. I understand that.
Yeah, it is. I have a video on my phone of actually what it looked like after it was mowed. And actually the mower, which was I believe it was a Bobcat with a bush hog on the front of it, trying to go up and down that hill, mowing it. So we would appreciate if that could be done. We need the extra time, obviously. It's not that easy just getting somebody to come in and
Oh,
Give us
yeah,
the
and
plans,
we're into July. So what's a reasonable amount of time if the board would so decide?
probably the end of August, end of September if possible.
Is that a permissible,
Yes, we could continue to stay the
Okay.
appeal and in hopes that they would submit a plan
Yeah.
for natural plantings or some.
and with the understanding that you don't have to wait until it's due? I mean, if you have something
Of course.
earlier, bring it in.
Sure.
Yeah, I would, or you want more discussion? I would move that we authorize a extension of the stay, is that the proper word?
Yes.
Until September 30th of this year.
I second that.
Yes, for discussion.
I have to
Oh.
recuse. Sorry,
That's
I have-
what I was just going to.
you're just gonna jump in. I have to recuse myself because I live in that development and pay in dues to the HOA.
Oh, so you're not out there mowing it?
I'm
Ah,
gonna do it next week.
oh, okay.
Want it to be hot enough.
Are you able to plant any native shrubs up there? I always hear about chokeberry as being able to tolerate a steep
There
slope.
are, and I think Robin Holder, who actually put this together for us, she was kind of spearheading it. She listed some plants on the
Yeah,
back.
I saw that. Yeah, I don't know anything about them.
Yeah, neither do I.
Or like
But-
something with an established root. that
Right.
You can dig a hole and
And that's the
maybe have a
goal,
better
is to put
chance
stuff
of
up,
getting it.
yeah, stuff up that's native to
Yeah.
to our area, and would also serve the purpose of stopping erosion, eliminating us having to mow basically where we are.
Mike, I don't want to be disingenuous to staff. And so, in your view, could there be satisfactory alternatives with plantings and other things that would prevent the long-term mowing, but would be a satisfactorily aesthetic and environmentally sensitive solution?
Yes, but it has to be a managed process, not just allowing the wild, vegetation to grow as it.
Understood. Yeah, thank you.
My understanding is some of the stuff that's actually growing now in the area are some of the native plants. Again, I wouldn't know what it is, but. Alrighty,
Okay, so all those in favor of the extension?
Hi.
Aye.
Okay.
thank you.
Next, we have authorized solicitor to negotiate settlement agreement with Charter Homes for construction of unauthorized stormwater management facilities and paved trail in the Tattersall open space lot number 0SL-1. Does solicitor like to speak to that, or who is speaking to that?
I can. I didn't know, Michelle, if you wanted to give the background of the, what
It's on.
negotiations you have with Charter Homes to date.
Yes, I can. We met with Charter Homes staff to discuss street dedication process. They're in the current process of doing so. And as part of that, we asked what was their plan for the stormwater area that's in open space lot number 1. They indicated that they were aware of the stormwater challenges and that they did perform stormwater improvements there as well as a trail. And we asked that they provide a stormwater management plan and make improvements as part of that process. And also had mentioned a land development plan. There was some discussion about an alternative process, zoning permit, and along with stormwater management, and maybe along with that, doing a land development after the fact, but really moving forward and reaching out to our solicitors, see if there would be some manner to move forward with an agreement to make that happen more expeditiously. And so.
Yeah, so the issue is there was improvements made to the open space lot in Tattersall that were unauthorized. There was stormwater facilities put in, and there was a trail put in, and that was not part of the approved land development plan. And that land development plan for Tattersall was approved as part of a litigation settlement. And in order for us to move forward with correcting the unauthorized stormwater facilities on the open space lot, we need to reopen that settlement agreement. We need to amend the settlement agreement. So I need permission to negotiate with Charter Homes to both remediate the stormwater management issues on that open lot, and also to modify this settlement agreement. There was a memorandum provided with a proposed course of action. No, didn't see it.
I don't have it. I'm not sure Ken has it. Anybody else have it?
What's that?
The memorandum.
No, but I would like to make
The motion, he has the motion.
I don't think we received the memorandum you referenced.
Well, my recommendation would be that you move to allow the solicitor to negotiate a settlement agreement with Charter Homes regarding the unauthorized stormwater management facilities in the Tattersall open lot.
Excuse me, Phil, not to belabor, but can you show me graphically exactly where the open lot is?
Green, right there.
Oh, it's the one outline. Okay.
That's an older photo, isn't it?
Yeah, because they're still in-
all those homes
yeah.
are now built.
And what's the long-term use of that?
It's an open space lot.
So they would correct stormwater, make that aspect acceptable, and then that would be permanent open space.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion,
Yeah,
Phil?
I move to authorize the solicitor to negotiate settlement agreement with Charter Homes for construction of unauthorized stormwater management facilities and paved trail in the Tattersall Open Space Lot OSL-1.
I
Second.
second the motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. Authorized. We have anything for public improvements? No,
I don't think so.
sanitary sewer. Believe we have any reports. Administrative committee, land preservation, discussion of first draft of land use referendum ordinance. And I was wondering how our fellow commissioners would want to approach this. We had the public forum on June 22nd, received presentations from Natural Lands, Stephanie Williams of Cumberland County, and Vince DiFilippo and Frank Evelhoek of the Silver Spring Land Preservation Board Review Board. Received public comment. We have been conducting focus groups. They've now been completed and the board has reports of that information. There's an online survey. And now we have a proposed ordinance. I didn't know how the board wanted to get to the proposed ordinance or review the survey results first, or what's the will of the board?
We don't have any wills.
How about the survey results, Mike?
I'm sorry, is he bringing that up? Okay.
I would like to add that the survey is still open until July 10th. It closes. This is just snapshot of this afternoon.
Yeah, it's just an interim indication. And is asking if that's.
I'm just asking the appropriateness of looking at a survey midterm, because I think we as a board have gotten the information, it's okay, but will the information that we look at now potentially bias or influence people that have not yet taken the survey? I mean, in my graduate school days, you would never do anything like that if you want to have an objective, open survey, but I guess it's up to.
I don't have a problem with that. If we want to just forego this particular survey, maybe we can jump back to the one we just finished last year.
Yeah, or even look at some of the information we got from the forums.
Well, let's start, since we're on surveys. Last fall, we had a survey similar with some similar questions with a response of 158 people. This included a number of questions, including the top 10 areas of improvement that people within the township would like to see. According to the results of the survey, residents stress that improvement is needed in preserving our farmland and open space, with many mentions of overdevelopment. Trails and connectivity, as well as support for local businesses, including areas like fire departments, are also areas of improvement. And if you look at the bar chart here on the far left, you'll see overwhelmingly the response to this survey from residents of the township favored farmland and open space preservation. Now, this was conducted last fall, so it's a lot of the same similar questions. What should we focus on? Let's go to the next one there. Yeah, there we go. Just like the improvements, residents stress the importance of focusing on preserving farmland and open space. They also want to prioritize infrastructure improvements and UAT's natural beauty. And if you look to the far left, again, 109 respondents chose farmland and open space preservation. And if you go on to, I think near the end, yes, there we go. What do you hope UAT will achieve in the next 10 to 20 years? And we have preserving the undeveloped land and halting overdevelopment. The feel and ambiance of Upper Allen Township is now rapidly changing with the decimation of historic barns and homes now being replaced with fast food chains, convenience stores, and unsightly commercial buildings whose designs do not fit the area. Along those changes have come highly increased traffic on Gettysburg Pike and Market Street, making turns onto and off those roads hazardous where there are not traffic signals. And if you go to the top comment theme, there overwhelmingly preservation, 44, with continued developing at only 8. So this is not something new that somebody's cooked up. This has been going on for decades, and I would say at least 50 years, if not more. And including in 1984, the Cumberland County Historical Society published an article titled The Upper Allen Heritage Committee, Its Origins. And this was over 50 years ago. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but skipping ahead to the part of interest here, in 1970, the population reached 7,325, and experts were predicting the number would double by 1980. Residents who had chosen to settle in the township because of its rustic charm and rural landscape saw their environment urbanizing at an accelerating pace. Apprehensive about urban sprawl with its attendant blight and social problems, they sought ways to control growth, to channel it into prescribed areas, and to preserve as much of the open space and rural atmosphere as possible. All right, that occurred over 50 years ago. And you guys, or I shouldn't say you guys, there are people in this township who couldn't bear the fact that we were talking about a bridge over and over. But here we are talking about open space preservation for 50 years. And each comprehensive plan overwhelmingly supports these types of quality of life issues. Understanding that it only needs a single reference for allowing a developer to put in a development for them to say they are in compliance with a comprehensive plan, even if there are hundreds, if not more, references to open space or preservation in general, I should say. So, I'm glad, I'm very happy to see that we're coming close to having some kind of resolution here. And I would encourage the board to consider the long history of the residents of this township demanding the quality of life that includes open space preservation. And not just open space, but also farmland when it can be done as well. So I understand maybe we can't talk about the ongoing survey results or the possibility that it may adversely or in some way influence it. So I would say, okay, that's fine. Let's just stick with the last one we did, 6 months ago or whatever. No, I guess it was more than that. In the fall of last year. So this is not something that was 10 years ago. This was just done, and it is consistent with everything I've read throughout the years with regards to this community's desire to maintain a quality of life that includes open space preservation.
And thank you, Phil. I have no problem referencing the report you did, and so I wasn't arguing about the findings. I was just suggesting that I think from a research analytical standpoint, we should wait.
Sure, but I think it's all right to reference these
Absolutely,
results,
absolutely.
Okay.
No one else minds, I would make some more comments to kind of set up the situation or where we're at tonight. I would say land preservation is not rocket science. This board is not doing anything different from what the law prescribes for a referendum. We are simply presenting our residents with the opportunity for land preservation as 157 other Pennsylvania municipalities, some have multiple referendums, but 157 referendums have come before us. The law is pretty clear how they are to be conducted. But the objective is for the voters to decide. We commissioners are not deciding. We have one vote in the voting booth like everybody else. But I do see it as our job as commissioners to present the question in a way that makes the most sense for Upper Allen. And I have kind of financial background, so I kind of gravitate toward the funding mechanism first, which is the earned income tax. Is the most commonly used funding mechanism for these referendums, and it's also the one that has passed the most often. A key fact about the earned income tax is that most retirement income is exempt from it. And we had 7,263 Upper Allen residents paid the earned income tax in 2024. It's out of a population of about 24,000 people. We just hours ago posted a fact sheet on the township website. Could we put that up just so the public could see it? So this took a lot of research and it's well sourced, but we have data from the Cumberland County Tax Bureau. They put out, it's called a gross earnings report. And we learned that the median income in Upper Allen is $65,000 a year. And that generates an earned income tax, I think. What does it say on the bottom? Is it 300? Can you scroll down, Mike? There's I think $325. You have to go down to the bottom. There's a chart at the bottom. I just think that's an easier way to look at the presentation. So it would go up to $390 as a median, an increase of $65. You know, one of the survey questions was how much would you be willing to pay? So we have a number at that end, and we have a number from reality as to what people are paying. And it's still in process, but we have even more detailed information on all the income tiers. And I thought it should be released to the public. I mean, it's just one page, but there was, Keldine, you can correct me or whatever, we're waiting for an update from the Tax Bureau. We're trying to reconcile that total with our own calculation of earned income for 2024. Is that correct?
The 2024 gross earnings report was, they had an issue with their software program, and so they will be sending a corrected copy hopefully soon.
Do we know when we're going to receive that?
No, we do not know when.
Okay.
They're working with a third party.
So I'm kind of the school that you work with the information you have, and it's relevant to me that the total number as the breakdown. We're trying to identify who is most affected by the earned income tax. And it is not at the low end of the scale. It's at the higher end of the scale. We have, I think, 127 residents earning over $500,000 a year. They're carrying a big part of it. Other residents are earning over $300,000 a year. It's very interesting information. But the median is half above, half below. So that's we believe it's in the $800,000 to $1 million a year that it may generate in funding for the preservation program. The uses are going to be as prescribed in the ordinance and the referendum question. So the real question to me, I pose to the public is that worth it? You know, you have a dollar amount, what it may cost you. You may be exempt, but in your own situation, is it worth it? And I believe the focus should be on the natural lands map and the open unprotected land over 10 acres, which is shown in olive green. And could you put that up, Mike? So it's those areas in olive green. If you live near there, any of those areas, I believe it's worth your while to think about what's going to happen to that land in the future. That's all land over 10 acres that is not considered protected. The darker green, mainly to the upper left of the township map, those are preserved farms, primarily the Strauch family. And they're preserved through the county program, and have been for some years. So, ask yourself, if you're near some of these other parcels, what's going to happen? I look at it, some say there's a timing issue or we're rushing or something. I mean, we know Silver Springs had a program for 13 years. To me, we've had 13 years to take notice and do something, and prior board has chosen not to. But this board believes it's something the public should decide. But some of how I look at it is there's been, the program is geared toward larger parcels, farmland, open space, whatever. Even if it's owned by a development company, it doesn't mean they intend to develop. Some would have you believe. But anyway, if I were to prioritize, we have a situation at 1206 South Market Street, which is a 20-acre parcel right north of the Turnpike, across from the old Book of the Month Club, adjacent to the Webercroft development, that's under zoning hearing board appeal. It's slated to become a 60,000 square foot contractor's facility in an agricultural zone area. There's some that say zoning will protect you. This is an example why it won't protect you. And that's before the court. I mean, that parcel may be demolished by next year if we wait. So I think we owe it to the people in Webercroft to make that a priority. I would also consider looking at it's 1127 Gettysburg Pike. It's 36.58 acres. It's also known as the Banzoff Track. It's at the northern end of Grantham, next to Route 15. It's on a steep slope, borders the Yellow Breeches Creek. There's a proposal for, I forget how many, 50, 60, 70 townhomes on a steep slope. It's probably land that you should not be built on. That's why it hasn't been developed, but there's still plans to do so. There's also a larger farm, a 2105 Stumpstown Road, 130-acre farm, multi-generational. It's next to a PP&L substation. That could be a prime target for a data center, being that close. And regardless that it's zoned agriculture, it may not stop anybody from trying. The land in Monroe Township is actually zoned residential, and they're proposing a data center. Other top ones on the list, to my view, are 240 McCormick Road. It's 72 acres. It's part of the Yellow Breeches Historic District. It offers scenic views, kind of the gateway to the historic district. And it's in the ASA program already. There's also 130 Gettysburg Pike, which is 27 acres owned by the school district. It's right next door to us here. And it could possibly remain as open space. It's owned by the school district. They may want to sell it at some point. I think it might be a win-win for both of us, but it could remain a link to our past, or it could become more commercial property. I have 4 takeaways from the public forum. According to Natural Lands, who are experts, we have enough unprotected land to warrant a program. Cumberland County Planning Department supports our effort. They have a wonderful presentation that's on our website. They support our effort. They want to work with us. It will help accelerate any farm or land that's in the ASA if we partner with the county. It will help, preserve them sooner. Silver Spring offers a shining example of what is possible. They passed their referendum in 2013. Our wording is very similar to what Silver Spring used. They passed the referendum with 60% voter approval, and they have now saved 1,384 acres versus we have 406 acres saved or preserved land totally through the county system. So you can get a lot further if you have your own township program. And recently, an 86-year-old farmer in Silver Spring turned down a $15 million offer from a data center developer and sold a conservation easement to Silver Spring Township instead for $1.9 million. Worked out to about $7,200 an acre. He's kind of a national hero. It received national attention. We played a video of him at the public forum. But this happened because Silver Spring had a program. We don't have a program. So, again, it's for the voters to decide. I personally think even the wealthy earned income taxpayers will support this because I think they're generally pretty smart people. They can do the math. They likely live in $1 or $2 million homes, and they're going to balance the 0.1% of their earned income with what their school district tax is going up every year. I think we're all going to get the bills this week, but Mechanicsburg Area School District is going up 4.3% just this year. So I trust the people to sort out the facts as best they can, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I would also add, Commissioner Fairchild, that during the public forum, one of the speakers from the audience had indicated that they had conducted a right-to-know request at Monroe Township, and one of the things they found was that the data center developers had contacted the township specifically asking about farms with conservation easements because they knew they wouldn't be able to change that zoning in the way they're trying to do at the current location. Their hope, according to the individual that spoke, their hope was that they could find some farms that may be considering conservation easements or had just entered the program, and maybe they could convince them to back out of it again because they knew they couldn't change the zoning if those conservation easements were granted. So it doesn't have to be a data center. That could be a warehouse or, think about what people at Webercroft are going through. So I would just add that.
If I could, I'd like to go on record that I like open space, and I certainly like to maintain farmland. I grew up a farm boy, and I made a living that way for a couple of years before I went in service. So I respect agriculture. I tire a bit of our references to Silver Spring Township because they're quite different than we are. They're about 3 times as big geographically, and they have a very, very robust commercial sector and business sector that enhances their tax base, which we don't have. So I think we can learn from them, but to suggest that we're a mini Silver Spring Township, I don't quite agree with. I applaud citizen participation, and I think at some point we should have a referendum and people should express themselves at the voter box. I believe right now we have incomplete information in the sense that we haven't adequately identified what open space would be eligible. We haven't even come up, are we going to preserve open space 50 acres and above, 10 acres and above, 3 acres and above? We haven't even processed that yet, nor have we talked about how we're going to fund it. The president suggested that we fund it through earned income tax, and that is one method. But I remind you that the young and middle class working folks are going to pay for it because we old folks don't pay earned income tax, and people on pensions and Social Security don't pay it. So for the enjoyment of an idea that's supported mostly by more mature folks, we're having our younger folks in the township pay for it. I don't think that's quite fair. I'd like to really look at, could we have a special use tax like we do with the fire tax and or for parks or other things? Maybe we could have a preservation tax, or maybe just increase the property tax. But I don't know what that answer is, but I don't think we've adequately really researched what the possibilities are, and I'd be calling for that. So I guess in sum, my position is I think we're rushing the process a bit, and as was mentioned previously, we do have a robust county program with the ASA and the ACE program. The ACE program also does maintain land, preserve land into perpetuity like we've been discussing here. So there are tools available that I think we maybe ought to advocate and inform people and encourage landowners to join the county program, and that wouldn't cost us a tax increase. I think at the forums, they were very well attended, or they were informative, and some of the folks responded that they're interested in the township of connecting neighborhoods and parks. I think that's laudable. There's more interest in preserving large parcels rather than smaller parcels and creek frontage. I think there was some discussion that this preservation program isn't the way to address data centers, although I think that's a good talking point right now. And then both forum groups wanted more information. So I think that the township residents, citizenry is ready to participate, but I think we owe it to all of us to have more discussions, get more information so that we can come up with a bona fide plan when we actually put it out for referendum. So again, I'm all for the preservation initiative, but I don't see the rush or why we need to go with incomplete information to the ballot box in November. We can do it next year or the next or whatever, because I don't think it's time sensitive, but I don't think we're going to see a lot of development in 6 months. So I guess I like the idea. I just have reservations about the process.
Mr. Martin, I would remind everyone that the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The longer we push this out, the more land gets developed. Even if this were passed tonight and the referendum was on a ballot held tonight, it could be a year or more before this could take effect. So the longer we push this out, the more, the greater the chance that these open spaces and farmlands will be sold off to developers. I'm not suggesting it's likely to be data centers. It's more likely to be housing developments, which people are sick of. But it certainly wouldn't stop a data center if it didn't have the conservation easement. So I think pushing it out is the worst thing we could do. I think the sooner the better. And just think about when the best time to plant a tree is.
Jennifer? Karen?
This is so difficult. There's no question that there's interest in land preservation. And I've said this before, it's not just the survey results that show land preservation. It's the people that come to these meetings and complain about noise pollution and traffic and stormwater management, which are all consequences of development. I've spoken to a lot of people over the course of the last week or so, and I actually agree that the land preservation probably should have taken place 10 or 15 years ago. However, if that had happened, I wouldn't live here. And I think that there are a lot of us in that position. My concerns are similar to what Ken said. I think the EIT and just saying that's what we're going to do 100%, no discussion of other sources of tax income is a question for me. I did note that you said we have about 7,000 people paying that of the 22,000 residents. That doesn't seem like it's an evenly dispersed cost. Understanding that no one likes a property tax increase either. So that's something that I'm kind of mulling over. The other thing that I'm concerned about is that, and again, I know that that on the June 22nd meeting, they said that a landowner that says no now isn't always a no. I wish we knew which landowners had interest in doing this, because I've spoken to the solicitor as well. I don't want to find us in a place where we've collected this tax and we've got no interest, or we're buying property that we don't really want. It wasn't really on our opportunity map, or we're down to the bottom level because folks aren't interested in the plan. So I don't have an answer. I don't have some, like, this is how I feel. I feel very pulled in two different directions. And I agree with Commissioner Walsh as well. I think that the longer we wait on this, the more difficult it's going to be to put it in place, and the less property will be available for us to do it. So I wish I could,
Other
be more
people,
decisive.
other people have mentioned the real estate tax, the millage increase. So we know what our assessed value is in the township. So each tenth of a mil would generate, I think, $238,000. So you would need approximately a 4 mil increase in real estate tax, generate $1 million. We're at 2.75 mils now. School district bases their tax on millage. I mean, I think how much can the homeowner take? I mean, one interesting thing about the wealthy people is they will transition to retirement sooner or later. And, so that is just not as a successful mechanism. That's perceived as more of I think, a burdensome tax than the earned income. So just to clarify that point.
All right,
Karen, yep.
I'm finally ready. For this draft ordinance that we had some line items for what would be the intent be. So I could support acquire agriculture conservation easements or property development rights, but not the acquisition of open space and not the acquisition of recreation and to use it for recreation and historic land. I was wondering, like Jennifer said also, what if you collect the taxes and it's sitting there and you're not going to buy recreation land and the farmers don't want it? And I come from a farm family, like Ken said. After a while with the development, there was not enough support from vendors, Tractor Supplies, and the things that we needed to keep the farm running. And my brother tried. And so it wasn't working out, and the interest rate was 19%. And you worked all your life to break even, and that's your golden parachute when you retire. And I would have considered a golf course with big houses around it. My brother, that was sacrilege to our family. So it didn't come to that, but I can tell you back in the 80s, a lot of farms in Lancaster and York turned into golf courses, and they're not here today because they didn't work out either. And so what do you do when you work all your life for this and your neighbors weren't there when you were doing the 24/7 thing and you're thinking about their quality of life? So I'm concerned if you want to save people's quality of lives, I'm thinking about the farmers' quality of lives, the landowners' quality of lives. And who's looking out for them? So I think I don't know. I don't agree with buying that horse farm, just save it. Even for me, Generations Park, buying that was a long shot, and $1 million here and $1 million there. For me, it makes it tougher to move here and rent or move here and have a small house. And so I just think good luck with this. And the voters, I think, will pull it out in a referendum, and you'll find out who wants to pay the taxes for everybody's quality of lifestyle.
Go ahead.
No, it's the voter's choice. I think her last point is correct. You're leaving it up to the voters.
I wanted to respond, Phil. I don't want to drag it. I respect your call for getting on with it. And I don't want to drag it out endlessly, but I remind us that we already have a planning process and a way for citizen participation to be involved in the comprehensive plan, which we already know that we're going to redo this fall and next spring. So there's a process already planned to look at the total township in terms of the amenities and land use and the attributes that we want in the township. To me, that's the logical time to look at ag preservation, open space use, and how we want our township to develop or not to develop. But that's a ready-made process that we're going to look not only at preservation, but the entire planning process of the township. So to me, we're ready to get on with the planning and the conversation, and then and be sure to end then with a referendum, because I'm a strong believer in that's the way to get the final input.
It's probably appropriate for Josh to introduce, the ordinance language and explain the intent and the why of some of the clauses and so forth.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I drafted the draft that's on the township website of the proposed ordinance. What this ordinance is going to do is if the commissioners pass this ordinance, then there will be a referendum where the voters will decide whether or not to raise taxes for open space preservation. What this ordinance does is it defines how big of a toolbox the township is going to have if the referendum passes. I made it very broad under this intent section of the ordinance. I put in every type of open space preservation that's authorized by law. Now that what that would do is if this was passed in the current form, then after the tax is increased, the township would have the most options to decide what to do with that money, the way that I drafted the ordinance. We could narrow the ordinance. So like Karen was saying, she would not support the acquisition of recreation or historic land. I could delete that from the ordinance if a majority of the commissioners wanted me to delete that from this draft, but that would limit the toolbox that would be available to use that money once that money is raised. So that's why the ordinance is drafted so broadly. It's to give the township the most options for preservation if the ordinance passes.
I noticed the reference in the preamble is includes the words "or historical lands." I just want to make sure. So I like to think I'm one of the biggest advocates in the township for historic preservation, but I don't think this is the place to insert it. And I just want to make sure that historical lands can't be interpreted as Bishop Bridge. We're done with it.
Well, you could put into the intent section of this ordinance that you could have a subparagraph 6 that would say no funds could be used for X, Y, and Z.
Okay, thank you.
I thought you would do better than that. My own interpretation was the bridge is not a historic land. It's a piece of metal. And whatever happens to the bridge, we are retaining the right of ways up to it, was my understanding. So there was no way it could apply, but do you endorse that viewpoint or not?
This statute is very broad in what it allows, and it's very open-ended in what it allows. And it allows for preservation of historic sites is one of the express things that can be preserved. So whether or not Bishop Bridge constitutes a historic site, I don't want to say that it does not, although I do question whether Bishop Bridge is land that can be acquired under this statute. I don't think that's a certainty.
And your language differed from the Open Space Act, gives you 8 uses. It was number 6. I don't have my notes in front of me, but it said historic, something botanical. It was really short. It didn't say historic preservation, I don't believe.
Where I'm getting what I call the broad toolbox from, there's a definition of open space benefits under the Open Space Act.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically have a catch-all in this ordinance that anything that meets that definition could be eligible for benefits. Now we could limit that. We don't have to make it that. We don't have to give the township as big of a toolbox. We could take some of those tools out. But that's the way the ordinance was drafted.
So maybe we should hear like public comment then and then get back to what we want to.
Yeah.
Might I request, before we get to public comment, could we look at section 2 and maybe Josh, you could read that, then the public would know at least the proposed wording of the referendum.
Yes, if the referendum would pass and the referendum language is just boilerplate language from the statute, but the referendum would read, do you favor the imposition of an additional earned income tax at the rate of 0.1% by Upper Allen Township to be used for some or all of the following: financing acquisition of open space, acquiring conservation easements, acquiring recreation or historic lands, and acquiring development rights.
Thank you.
And I noticed, Karen, you were zoning in on number 2 about open space.
Buying
That
it,
includes protect sensitive natural areas such as woodlands, stream valleys, or other unique natural resources or habitats.
the purchase of them, yeah.
Eric, I think there's one other thing we should discuss is the timeline moving forward. And this was based on Natural Land's original proposal, but we're going over the first draft of this ordinance tonight. If there's any changes that the board wants me to make, I have 2 weeks to make those changes and present a revised draft to the public at the July 15th meeting. If the board authorizes advertisement of that draft at the July 15th meeting, then I believe we're looking to maybe reschedule to August 3rd for the next Board of Commissioner meeting. That's whenever the vote would take place to enact this ordinance.
And the language or the intent of the ordinance as it's being proposed is that if passed, the referendum would be in November 2026.
Yes.
Okay.
And part of the reason for the compressed time frame is that in order to get it on the ballot for November of 2026, we need to get that to the County Board of Elections by the first week of August. And so August 4th. So that's the reason why the time frame has been compressed the way that it is.
Okay, I'm ready for public comment. First on the list, was the man from the Orchard Glen Homeowners Association. I think he's probably gone. Laura Brown.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm not a resident of Upper Allen Township, let you know that right away. I am actually a Board of Supervisor for Silver Spring Township. I also run the land preservation program. I told Eric I would come. I wasn't able to attend your meetings the last couple of weeks, but I was here I know there have been some confusion about how our program works, how it might work here in Upper Allen Township. So I wanted to basically be here to offer, if you have questions, anything I can help you understand. One thing I do want to mention about the timing, I can't really tell you about whether earned income tax or real estate tax, that's obviously not my decision. That's your decision for this township. But I will tell you, timing is critical because what's happening in Silver Spring Township, we've preserved 1,284 acres. 23 different properties. What we're finding is that the easement value keeps going up. As land becomes more and more scarce, as more land is developed in Middlesex Township and other townships, we are seeing the easement values go up, which means it's going to be harder to preserve that land. So for example, farmland. So with the Rodabaugh Farm, which you've talked about, when I started with the program back in 2015, we were generally seeing easement values between 3,000 and 4,000. The Rodabaugh Farms both appraised at about 4,700. That's going up a little bit, but we're seeing, especially with the residential properties, we have properties that, again, back 10 years ago, preserved for maybe 3,000, 4,000 an acre. We just approved a property last year that was over 15,000 easement value an acre. That is the amount that things are going up as land is becoming more scarce. So I would say that's one reason to think about getting started sooner, because you're going to have less of a capacity with the money you're taking in to get this land preserved, especially if you have properties that are zoned residential. So that's something I wanted to mention. I want to hear the residents of the township speak and speak their mind. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I did want to mention that, though. I'm happy if you guys have any specific questions about the program, I'm happy to answer them now. I'm happy to answer them after. Anything I can do to help. Erica?
Yeah, so we're getting questions about the Land Preservation Review Board, which would be the next step if the referendum passes. And that takes some time to establish. We have your ordinance, or Silver Springs ordinance from 2014, establishing your board. Have there been other changes? I thought I read, I know it's a 7-member board. They're independent from the commissioners. I think they make a recommendation.
Yes.
But then it is ultimately Board of Supervisors or Board of Commissioners who approves.
Right. Let me just go through the process really quickly. I'll try to do this quickly. When we started our land preservation program, the referendum was approved in 2013. So in 2014, we got started. We established a land preservation board, which is just 7 resident volunteers. There weren't people with any special degrees or training, just people who were passionate about land preservation. And then what we did is we sent out letters to everyone in the township that had 10 or more acres of land, letting them know about the program. What we got back were 13 applications that first year. So what the Land Preservation Board members do primarily is they go out and they visit the properties. They walk them with the landowner, find out what the landowner wants to do. Are there conservation values? Are there streams and wetlands? And what makes this property something we want to preserve? So that's what the Land Preservation Board members primarily do. Then they come back and they did a ranking of those 13 properties and said, we only have so much money. We just started getting in the money, just a couple $1,000 that first year, I think. So we had to prioritize. And so that's their first role. What they do is they then say to the Board of Supervisors, here's the properties we think you should preserve. It's up to our Board of Supervisors, the 5 of us, to say, yes, we agree with you. And then we get an appraisal done on the property. After that, there's an offer made to landowners to purchase conservation easement. But one thing I want to make clear, so the Land Preservation Board is the recommending body. They do not have the decision power. That is in the Board of Supervisors. Also, Land Preservation Board, that's a public meeting. Anyone can come to the meeting. You will have a liaison, someone from this board that would sit on that. You could bring, I see you do other committee reports during your public meetings. You could report on that. You could even show the balance, what money's coming in. As you know, anything that will come in has to stay in that land preservation fund, can't be used for anything else but preserving. So all of those things are open to the public to see. When we get an approval for an appraisal, that's on a public meeting agenda. It's approved by the board and the public is there and they're able to say, okay, here's the property we're talking about. If the public feels this is not something we should be preserving, they can speak up and the board can disapprove it, approve it, whatever they decide. So same thing goes once we get the appraisal back and we know how much we could pay for a conservation easement. That comes before the board. That is at a public meeting to be voted on. Again, that gives the public a chance to come out and say, we don't think you should pay this much, or we don't think this property should be preserved. So there is that transparency going on. It's not all going on behind closed doors because we want residents involved. We want them to be. And for me, I'm always, everybody I talk to in the township, I talk about land preservation. It's just what I do. It's just my passion. So I want other residents to talk to other residents and say to their neighbor, hey, do you want to preserve? Maybe you should do this. So that's the kind of openness that we want to have. So does that help answer some questions? Okay, I want to let your residents speak.
Thank you, Laura. It's Lisa Polonia. Another homeowner, Paul Brenneman. What? Lisa, is she not here? I don't think so. She didn't say. It's not. Yeah.
Paul Brenneman, 2020 Stumpstown Road. I want to pass out to you folks 12 questions. I had them prepared at the public forum and I never really got to them. And I just. Before I get to those questions, I just have some thoughts. How can you ask for a tax increase when you only ask a general question about preserving land? That is the answer, but what is the problem and issues to be identified, addressed, and included in any kind of program? Does this include any land or is it specific to farmland preservation, which continues to be the main point raised as to why we do this? If not, is it open space, natural areas that are contiguous to other parks or natural areas, private lands of homeowners, et cetera? There are several questions that need to be raised and answered publicly before any referendum is offered, including, and these are questions I've asked before, and I really haven't seen answers to them. Is there a list or inventory of properties eligible? And I think most importantly, have eligible property owners been contacted? Are properties currently enrolled at ACE eligible for compensation? I think I found out that is not. No, is that true?
I'll let Ken answer.
Well, okay, well then we'll just keep moving. Well, pardon? I originally was asking, are properties currently enrolled in ACE eligible for compensation? And I think that answer is no. I think at the focus group I was part of, they said that is not the case.
Okay, thanks.
Well, properties that
Paul, you have a habit of, we answer your question and then you post on Facebook, the next day you got no answers at a meeting.
You haven't answered, ever answered.
Like 180, pages of documentation and so forth. So I don't quite know why he asks the questions in different form all the time, but the information's out there. But anyway, go ahead.
What did I do wrong?
Repetition in my mind. And the fact that
you have the answer to these questions?
Property is in ASA.
Yeah.
That would have required a hearing and so forth before the ASA committee. And you have no knowledge of that, or did your father do that or something? Like you just by your resume or how you appear on the property mapper, your own property shows some knowledge of the programs.
And that's correct.
Thank you.
But I don't understand what.
Paul, these are good questions. Keep going. Just
I don't know what I.
Can you go through the questions? They're good questions. I want to hear your presentation.
You did nothing wrong, Mr. Berman.
Will properties that now decide to go into the ACE automatically be compensated from the township program? What determines the prioritization process? Is there a set flat fee per acre? What's the process and or penalty to get out of the program? Is there a minimum acreage? Is farmland, agriculture, or open space / scenic ground taking priority? An example, if a property is 15 acres total, but only 10 acres is farmland, is payment based on the entire property or just the farmland acreage? And is there an annual inspection like the ACE program? What happens in 5 years if the referendum is repealed and there's still money in the fund? What happens if in less than 5 years there's no more applicants? And I don't understand why you continually attack my property for being in the ASA. I'm all for land preservation, but as a couple of your colleagues, I don't have the answers to what we're trying to do exactly. And that's my problem. You keep referencing the Strzok 134 acre property. And I don't, for the life of me, understand if they didn't in the last 45 years put it in the ACE program, what can our township do with this program to get them to enroll? I don't understand that. I don't see, they're just not going to do it. That's why I keep going back. We should have asked all the property owners that were eligible, whether it's 5, 10, 15 acres, if they were interested, and then continue down the path. But Sorry, I got under your skin. I don't know what I did wrong, but it seems like every time I come to
You
this
didn't get under
podium,
my skin.
you
It's
just attack me.
repetition.
And I don't think anything was out of line.
Actually, Paul, I, along with Phil, I applaud these questions because there are some that I don't think this board has answers to. So
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
think it's important. I want to preserve the land. I don't have a problem if we never build another house in the township, but I don't think we're doing it right. And that's all.
I actually went through these questions really quick just to jot down the answers that I think I might know. I feel like I'm taking a little quiz here. But I think some of this is going to be determined by the Land Preservation Review Board, and that's something Ms. Brown mentioned earlier. As far as the properties that are eligible, I think that is yet to be determined, and I think that is the process that Silver Spring did as well. It was kind of a broad invitation to folks who owned large pieces of property and then waited to see who was interested. And I think some of these unfortunately kind of fall into that. It'll be determined based on how things go after this gets started, which is the way that it was designed in Silver Spring and seems to be working. The question that you did have on here that I thought, these are great questions, and I'm gonna pitch them over to Josh. What happens in 5 years if the referendum is repealed and there's still money in the fund? Okay. I do think that that's interesting to me because one of the things that I was kind of thinking is what happens if we get this money and we don't have interest? Now, I do remember when we had the meeting on June 22nd, a no now isn't a no forever. But I guess I would be interested if a no now is a no in 7 years, what we do with the money. Can we keep it there and keep asking those folks if they're interested? And I think that's my question for Josh. But I do think that the order in which things happen, based on what Silver Spring did too, seems like it does feel like it's out of order, but at the same time, it's working. And it's working in other municipalities to do it in that order.
And we are clear, there's a minimum of 5 years you have to have another referendum to reverse it. So that's that process. And that information is out there on the website mainly in the We Can Serve handbook. But anyway.
But that still doesn't answer the question, what we would do with excess, with a balance. And I think that's a legal question, I guess.
Yeah.
On here, one of the line items that I talked about was if you weren't getting given money for easements, it said finance acquisition of open space. There you go. You can buy land.
I just don't understand why everybody's convinced it's a failure before it even starts or before the voters even have their say. That'd be a nice problem to have, I guess, to have this money. And then you could really have some high-priced lawyers give you an answer. But anyway, it's Joseph Mackel. Mackel, I can't read your writing. I see Joseph. Jim Cochran.
Back again, still at 384 Allison Avenue. A couple of things I'd like answers to myself. I have the act here. This is actually the Senate Bill 1320 that the act was based upon. And as you go down through the purposes that the act states, it has to include to protect scenic areas for public visual enjoyment from public rights of way, to promote sound, cohesive, and efficient land development by preserving open spaces between communities, and also to preserve sites of historic, geologic, or botanic interests. And the way you've written the referendum, all these would be eligible. So anything that would be considered of historic interest, this money could be spent on. So are we really saying that's what we're going to do? We're going to spend money on anything that somebody thinks it's a great view or it has some historic value to them? That bothers me. I think it's written far too broad. In the information that you publish on the website from the focus groups, I understand that land preservation and ag preservation have two separate sets of rules. And where ag preservation is for perpetuity, land preservation is not. You can pass another referendum and revoke the preservation, and that land can go back to be free if the people pay their money
You've
back.
been running with that, Jim. I have never heard that. What's your
Take a look
source
at
for saying that?
Natural lands from what
I
they
mean-
had posted. So,
And I've heard you say Silver Spring easements are not enforceable or something.
no, I did not say that.
To that effect.
No, if you heard that, you misquoted me. And the last thing I would point out was, when I asked about this map, you kind of poo-pooed it and said it didn't go along with the maps and the numbers you had, but then you used it to further your point. And I ask you again, if you have this information, you're holding it close to your vest, you won't share with anybody the land that you think could be possibly preserved. I've asked a couple of times, you said, I did it, I have the information, but it's nowhere to be seen by the public. If it's that good, if it's solid information, publish it so we can react to it. Thank you.
I did add, I believe at the last public forum, Natural Lands made a point of noting that map is a draft, first of all. And I would be the first to tell you to get those little properties along McCormick Road off of that map. They have no business being there. I've further asked if Natural Lands would consider revising that draft, which they offered to do, to include just properties over 10 acres and to identify which of the remaining properties already have actual conservation easements and or specific deed restrictions, not just ASA or zoning. So that map is a draft, and I agree with you that it's somewhat misleading in that I have no intention of pursuing little properties along the creek under this referendum. It's just, in my personal opinion, should just be 10 acres or more.
Do you know where we stand on that, Keldine? Because they were asked at the public forum to make some corrections, and they expressed a willingness to do that.
Yes, the map update, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, we have the one from last
Phil
week.
sent me the email, was that yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay, and I did send that out to them, they did reply, and they were asking if we had deeds here and if the staff would be doing the research work, which the answer is obviously no. And so it will take them time to go to Cumberland County and pull all the deeds and everything and do that work. But I did not give them the green light as of yet because I knew you were discussing it tonight. And with your approval, I will inform them to proceed and do that work and send us the bill.
I thought it was really simple, just like to change the color of park acreage.
No, it's time.
Well,
Park acreage is the same as conserved farm.
at some point before we
and
adjourn,
the
I'd like to come back to that authorization.
Yeah, that's fair enough. You would
I'd
think
like-
it's simple enough to not require much. Is that what
No.
you're saying, Ken, or not?
No, I'm saying,
Right.
I believe that they're a third-party professional source that's under contract with us. So before we leave tonight, I, for one, would like to see this board consider authorization for them to update the map so that we have a credible information source from which to base our discussions. If you want to, I don't know if it's out of order now or when you want to take that motion, but I'm prepared to make it.
Yeah, do you want to do it now? I mean, that is probably the will of the board. So,
Well,
I mean,
okay, I will move that we authorize Natural Lands to continue research in order to come up with a revised map. That's sufficient.
with specific suggestion about park acreage
I
and
think-
removing parcels under 10 acres along the.
I would start with removing parcels under 10 acres. And then my second concern was identifying which properties have actual conservation easements and or specific deed restrictions, not just ASA or zoning. So that's probably the one that would take the time. I think it's easy enough to get rid of the stuff that's under 10 acres. That's just a CAD click.
Well, before I incorporate that in the motion, is that kind of the will of?
I'm sitting back here listening. My name is Anthony Clancy.
Well, he's out of
2195
We
Brunswick
have a
Avenue.
motion on the floor.
Fantastic. You're gonna authorize them to do what? She's already told you they've completed their work. They're not doing anything else until they're told what to do. What is the scope of work that you want them to do?
I think that's what
Is
we're
it 10
discussing.
acres?
Yeah.
Okay, but he's making a motion to update the map. With what?
I think we're getting to that.
That's what we're
Just trying to
discussing.
clarify it. I mean, but I appreciate your passion, but.
Well, I don't, because it feels like an attack, and we're in the process of trying to formulate our instruction to the consultant. So if you allow us to do that, I think.
I
we'll
will,
answer your
but when you present it as, I like to make a motion
Yeah.
for them to update the
Right.
map.
And you did
That-
kind of
that-
drop off with the specifics.
That's the
But
problem.
we were trying to add to it. I
Then
mean,
make your own damn motion.
No.
no, we're adding, yours is good. We're just adding to it. But what did whatever Phil just said, we know it's the less than 10 acre parcels.
Well, I was asking, Eric, is that kind of the rule? Is 10 acres our sweet spot? I mean,
It
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah,
It
I
generally
think
is the rule.
no, I just want to make sure, Joe. I don't want to have to make the
Right.
motion the fourth time for the gentleman in the back.
And then what they have in green, they call it existed protected lands. I would rather show it as agricultural conservation easement, which is what it is.
Well, but,
Most of what
but
they
were
have.
you getting at something, Phil? I thought maybe you were getting at something beyond just the ASA and ACE, but some kind of other deed restrictions or I don't, what were you thinking?
Yeah, I didn't mean to make that. I thought this was like an easy couple of clicks on the CAD program. But listen, if it's simply a matter of saying 10 acres or more, that's the easy one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then how about another color for land that's preserved in the ACE program?
And not ASA or
They already have that. color.
they have that
Yeah,
in.
just identify what's already in ACE.
Okay.
Right. I would not identify what's in ASA.
Okay.
Other than it's open, unprotected land.
Okay.
ASA
Don't
is not
complicate it. I
protected
think we were
land.
there.
But
Okay, then,
so
if I may-
don't make them put more colors on here to add
if I
confusion.
may, Mr.
Yeah. I know, that's.
Right, that's what we
agree
want
on that, Jim.
clarified. We agree
So
with you on
parts
this.
need to be shown in a different color.
Say that's all the ACE property.
No, I don't,
More than ACE property.
yeah, I don't think that's. the
Do
only-
we want the ACE property separated from the other spaces
there-
like parks, et cetera?
I think we
Yeah, I
want
think-
parks separated.
Specifically ACE, okay, Finn. May I try again?
Wait. And also the McCormick Road.
We're getting rid of it.
Already.
I want to get rid of those.
10 acres or more, so
Okay.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
but thank you for,
Apology, I'm trying to pay attention.
I feel loved by everybody trying to help me make this motion. Well, most people, not everybody.
Absolutely love.
So
I'll disregard that. I would move, Mr. President, that we we instruct Natural Lands to update, revise what is that, land use map, or what is it called? I don't know.
It's an opportunities map, I believe.
The opportunities map to include areas of 10 acres or
wait, I
more.
think you should go in order of how it is, like strike.
To include open, unprotected areas of 10 acres or more. Primary conservation lands, lands owned by Upper Island Township. Existing protected lands under the ACE program. Waterfalls and trails.
And they need township parks as a separate.
And thank you, and township parks is a specific category. Alexis, you'll never get all that, but you're good. Will you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to put a not to exceed price on that? Or are you just gonna give them an open checkbook to update it?
Well, they already have a contract, a maximum contract amount for the work that we originally signed the contract for, so it would certainly be under that.
Do we have any bills from them yet or anything? I don't believe so. But fair enough point.
Well, what do you want to do? I mean, how much do you think we should pay them, sir?
Sure, original contract, I had heard that they were done with their work. Do we know where they are with what we have authorized to spend and what they had chosen of that? I just have a concern is that if you're going to change the scope, are you going to get a change order on their pricing?
Sir,
It's gonna change the scope. They didn't do a proper job, just asking. And that's fine, but I'm asking the question, is this an open check or is it within the contract? Will they even do this work?
I just want to stop for a second because having been participating in these meetings by Zoom, it's really difficult when people are talking and you can't hear it. And I know there were people participating online and I just want to be respectful of that. So if you have something to say, can you please come forward?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. No, you're correct. Okay. They have a not to exceed price. So we have the motion.
she was going to say.
Go, Keldine, if you.
We are still within the contract parameters cost-wise.
So we have a motion. We have a second. Authorize them. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, they're authorized. They're a nonprofit. They, I don't think they're intending to rip us off myself. Robin Banks.
Robin Banks, 835 Grantham Road. Phil, at least you can see comments on Facebook. I'm blocked on some of them, so I guess they don't want me to see their comments. Are these land preservation surveys confidential? Can anybody get them? Because it seems like some pages, I see things on some pages that I can see. It's like, where's this information? Where are these people getting this information? And I'm just asking, I mean, what's stopping anybody from filling out a survey for their mom or their dad or their son? I mean, is there any restrictions put on this survey? I know you have to put your address and that in there. I'm just asking, what's stopping people from filling out multiple surveys for family members or whatever?
Keldine can.
The consultant takes all of that into account. I don't know if it's an average person in a household. So for example, if someone's filling it out with the same address, that they don't not accept anyone after the first one, if that's kind of your question.
There's one address, but it's not stopping them from filling out somebody in a different address, a relative in a different address. I'm just asking, that's all. I've been involved with things like this in my career, so I just want to.
Right. Surveys usually have a range and an account for those kind of scenarios in there.
Okay. All right. I'm all for land preservation. I've seen this township, I'm going to use the word get ruined, because that's exactly what has happened over the past, 10 years, 15 years. It seems like, and I'm going to say this openly, the voters voted for all of you for our best interest, not a developer's, not a builder's, or not a friend's best interest, for our best interest. And I hope that that's what you guys are working for. I myself would like to see the property at Grantham Road purchased and at the end of Grantham Road and keep that. We've had somebody that was going to put all these townhouses until they found out that they had to have another access way, an egress and an ingress, and one of them had to go underneath the Route 15 bridge. So that fell through. But again, we've heard a nursing home, we've heard businesses in there. We have to stop this building. And I'm sure somebody's going to say, we can't stop a landowner from selling their property. You're absolutely right. But you can stop the rezoning. That can stop. We don't need to zone property commercial anymore. We have enough commercial property up here. Take, for instance, the Chick-fil-A area. I don't know if any of you are aware about, what was it, last August, two years ago, The flood that washed out part of Route 15, came down and ruined the roadway along Bumblebee Hollow. Right now, they are fixing that roadway. My question is, there's a home that's built right on the edge of a quarry, a abandoned Pensy supply quarry. Excuse me. And I know that for a fact because my husband grew up right up over the hill. We have a house there who now we're replacing a culvert into their driveway, into their property, which is gated off. Although they have another exit on Lisburn Road. Some people may say it's hard getting in and out of Lisburn Road. Your property comes off of Lisburn Road. There's other properties on Lisburn Road. Why are my tax dollars paying for that to be done? We're all worried about taxes. Why are my tax dollars paying for that? When in fact, this past winter, snow plows barreling down Grantham Road, throwing ice 15 feet into people's property. I had some damage. I called the township and I was told, turn it into your homeowners. Why? Why should I turn this into my homeowners when we're building a driveway, replacing a driveway into someone's home? So it's just very, very frustrating. We're here, oh, well, the earned income tax. Fine, earned income tax. We've all paid tax. I'm retired. I don't sit around researching stuff. I'm enjoying my retirement. But my point is, why am I paying tax? They're saying, oh, you don't want the younger people paying tax. We were all young at one point in time. Things were rough growing up for everybody. I mean, yes, nowadays people are paying more attention to politics and things like that. But if that's the case, why am I paying tax for parks? Senior citizens, why are we paying tax for parks? We don't go to the park, but yet it's built into our tax. So if that's the case, if you don't want this earned income tax, take that park out of the senior citizens tax, the homeowner's tax. So, and one other thing, and maybe I shouldn't bring this up, but I heard about Oakwood Hills. And I guess there's plans to develop that. Is that correct, Jen or Ken?
I'm not aware.
Okay, because you and I talked about this at a meeting a couple meetings ago.
I know that the residual land is now again owned by the university. That's all I know.
And what is the residual land? Up top?
Yeah.
Okay, so at one point in time, there was plans to put in a hotel and a gas station and that. Is that still in the works? Because you personally told me that they weren't going to get a building permit for that.
Well, I'm not aware that there are any plans, and I think that's good information because I met with someone recently. So I don't know what their plans are, if any, but that original plan of a mini convention center is dead.
Okay, but they can still build on it. And they can build commercial on that because it is zoned commercial.
If they meet, they meet the.
Okay, just asking.
Robin, I just wanted two things. You mentioned the flood on Route 15, and you're absolutely right. That's being addressed currently with land on Daybreak Church. And so that whole stormwater issue from the development is being addressed. And then the issue in Bumblebee Hollow, which they are replacing the pipe. That's not just for the enjoyment of the homeowner, because that whole Bumblebee stretch is like a drainage down to that creek across Lisburn Road. And that pipe was failing and undersized, so they're putting in a new pipe.
Right, and I understand.
So you're right, it's on the property of the homeowner and it will help him, but it's not because of his.
Well, I'm not saying it's because of him, but I'm saying he's benefiting. He is benefiting from our tax dollars.
Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, there's other culverts from the roads. All right. Yeah.
Please touch on that.
Well, there were some further up Bumblebee that have already been replaced.
Yes, way up further. Okay.
So we should move on.
I am all for it. And remember, you work for the residents, not the builders, friends, or developers. That's my comments. Thank you.
All right. Ann Wywall. I hate to say it, Jim, but a bunch of people left when you started speaking. I don't know why. That's a coincidence.
There were people from Orchard Glen.
Oh, okay. That was the time they chose it.
Because of Jim. He doesn't
Because
have that
they're
much to-
still in here on the list. So Stacy and Carl Berlin, they were Orchard Glen. Neil Shear.
Good evening. My name is Neil Shear. I live at 7 Hemlock Drive in Webercroft, the infamous Webercroft, and I am the one that's leading the fight against the indolent and incompetent zoning hearing board. However, Commissioner Martin, I fully understand the amount of work that is entailed in something like this. One merely doesn't say we need to preserve open space and it happens overnight. But if I call the fire chief and I report a fire chief, he doesn't say, well, Neil, let's have a good chin wag about something and we'll get to it. No, he launches his fire brigade and they get to work. And that is what is unnecessary. That is what is necessary at this time. I'm sorry that fate has tapped us on the shoulder, but we are now the ones that have to live with this. I would advocate that if we do not do it this fall, don't bother. Don't even waste your time. There's more important stuff like the Northern Cardinals to be reported in our newsletter, important stuff like that, as opposed to this. I say this because the developers, and I'm now speaking to my fellow citizens here and residents, the developers here are predators and predation is their game. They work 24/7. They have freshly scrubbed lawyers who want to make partner one day, who are every single day looking at ways to leverage open the ordinances here and to put further development. I am fighting a developer who is putting a 60,000 square foot warehouse 15 feet from my neighbor's backyard. Why? Why? Because he wants to, as the attorney said. He wants to. So my point, I won't, skip the histrionics here, get to the point, that we need to do this now. It's hard work. I understand that. But we need to get something on the ballot to allow the citizens to say, do this. Last point, ma'am, I take grave exception with the horse farm up there. There's 110 homes in Webercroft. There's fewer in Sunnyland, but there's a lot of us that live there. And that is an important parcel of land. We have no parks, no sidewalks. I mean, everybody's heard this litany from me, a million times. This is important. We are the tripwire. They take me out, they take my neighbors out, and they will come for you. I will guarantee they will come for you. And with a complicit and indolent and incompetent zoning hearing board, they will roll over this township like there is no tomorrow. I thank you for your time, Mr. President.
Okay. Thank you, Neil. Yep. Gene Foschi.
Jean Foschi, 2195 Brunswick Avenue, and this is a rough room tonight. Holy cow. So, for the third time in a public meeting, I am saying that I am in support of land preservation. The potential for land preservation should not die in this room because of personal differences, preconceived notions, bad feelings, or misunderstandings. The land referendum ordinance deserves a fair shake in November. To the board, facts matter, and you must understand the process and the ordinance and be able to explain it clearly and concisely so people are not scared away or confused by misinformation. I'm not referring to paralysis by analysis. I'm referring to factual information on this matter. These are taxpayer dollars, and taxpayer dollars matter. Everyone deserves a clear and concise explanation of the proposal. I have a question. It doesn't have to be answered tonight. Just because a referendum is passed in November, What's the next part of the process? Do you have to move forward with the tax and the subsequent land preservation program? What happens next? Thank you.
I think you have to pass an enabling ordinance. Isn't that correct, Josh? To establish the tax. That would be the next step.
You do, but I believe it's mandatory because the voters
Right.
approved the referendum, so
You
it's.
hear that, Gene?
mandatory.
It's mandatory. Okay.
Here's what concerns me. It's words like, I believe and I think. I don't want to hear I believe and I think. I want to know. And I appreciate what you said, solicitor. I appreciate your input, but I want to know. And I'm hearing from a lot of people in this room that they want some hard facts. And I want to know. I don't move on, I believe, right? I move on, this is what happens next. I think a really good, concise timeline would be incredibly helpful to this process, especially as you're headed to November, because you have plenty of time to do that, plenty of time.
So we did look at it, Gene, like we have all the sequences of ordinance from Silver Spring. But to me, we weren't there yet, or you didn't want to overwhelm people with information. But we know each step of the way following a successful referendum.
So I don't think you have to overwhelm people, Eric, and
Right.
I appreciate what you've said. I don't think people have to be overwhelmed.
Right.
Apply the process to Upper Allen, put it on a timeline. I think you are a millennium ahead of where you need to be with the public at this point in time. Because I think you can get this on the ballot in November and make it incredibly meaningful. But people need to understand.
Yeah,
They do.
we never went down this road without knowing that we could do it.
Except I don't even know.
Yeah.
Right? Because I asked a question, right? And I don't know the answer. So I would appreciate that. You guys are the subject matter experts, right? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Deborah Heisey. Oh, okay. Oh, you are actually checked no to speak. Sorry about that. Eric Weinick checked neither box, so he's a mystery candidate. Do you wish to speak, Eric?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, now we have Calvin Heisey. Didn't check either box, but here he comes.
IZ 310 West Meadow. Just a couple quick things. If you do put this on a referendum or whatever, can they word it so people understand what they're asking? I see so many questions at the bottom of the ballot. Do you endorse this, whatever, the big legal gabble. I don't understand what they're asking. Word it so that we understand what we're voting for, even referendum, whatever. Okay, a couple quick things. Someone mentioned the red light at 114 at Gettysburg Pike. I drove that red light many times a day. It's much better since Chick-fil-A went in. Everybody had a hussy fit about that going in. That is much improved. Used to wait there 4 times for the light to change to go straight through on Gettysburg Pike. Most I've waited is 2 times now, and that's very rare. Much improved. I'm not in favor of growth, stop growth, land preservation, whatever. I'm good for whatever. Most people that complained about growing, stop growing, ask them where they live. Unless they live in a farmhouse that was built 100 years ago, they probably live in a development that just was built last 50, 60, 70, 80 years. So it's okay, now that I'm here, stop growth. But since I'm here, I want to stop because I want this field behind me. It's not my field, but I want someone to not build in there. As long as that's all voluntary, you're not imposing, saying you can't build here. This is all voluntary when you ask these people to preserve their lands, correct? Okay. If you offer money to keep their land, perfect. I have no problem with that. As far as raising the tax, I think Mr. Williams made a comment I saw somewhere that there's already many programs for raising funds to purchase whatever, influence people's decisions on their properties. Do we need an extra tax to do that? I don't understand. Also, when they're saying about the historical district at Yellow Beach and stuff, I don't know what they're talking about, what area that is, or is there a certain area that's considered a historical district or?
3 areas that are historic district. It's McCormick Road is the Yellow Breaches Historic District, the northern or eastern part of McCormick.
I wish they'd make access to the creek easier. I like to kayak. You go down to Simpson Park, on a hot day, you can hardly find any parking spots. You can't park on 114. You can't park across the creek on York County. It's all no parking, limited parking space there. Why don't you put a lot up on top of the hill? Is there a reason they can't put an extra parking lot up there? Same thing on McCormick. They started putting picnic benches down there or tables to sit at or benches to sit at. And they planted bushes and stuff certain areas so you can't park where you used to park. There's hard to get access to it. And the new horse farm, can we make access area there to get down to the creek to just enjoy tubing, kayaking? No further comments. Thank you. I know you might get unappreciated sometimes. We appreciate the work.
How long have you lived here? I meant to ask you that. Could you say?
In 86.
Okay, a long time. So,
Wife's lived here all of her life.
okay,
Lived in Gettysburg Pike.
thank you. It kind of sounded like it, but I wasn't sure. Kent Strock, or, yeah, Kent.
The park with the township, yeah.
Ken Strock, 791 Williams Grove Road. As I look at the purpose of zoning from 1974, letter D, it says to preserve prime agricultural ground. If you go to the zoning, go back to the initial, we've done a hell of a poor job of preserving prime agricultural ground. No, that's not to say it should or shouldn't have been done, but it has happened. But the mechanism to preserve land has been in place for 52 years. And we've chosen not to preserve ground. And is that a correct statement? 1974, the current zoning regulations were put into place. I think I'm correct in saying that, am I not? I think it was January of 1974. Oh, okay. Our township people, staff don't know. Very good.
Because we had like one police car back then. Kind of makes sense as to when you're.
You asked Calvin how long he's been a resident of the township. I turned 74 years old today. And I've been a resident of this township all but 4 of those years. I spent 4 years in Minnesota teaching at a small junior college. And so I've seen the transition that has occurred in Upper Allen Township. My cousin Barry, he's a little older than I am, so he's seen that happen also. I love open space, but progress being what it is, we have to be realistic. Do I want more tax? No. Our farm has been preserved. We preserved it for my mother. In 2020, we had an appraisal of the property for the preservation program. The land was valued at about $9,000 an acre. In 2025, when my mother passed away, September of 2025, we had to have a reappraisal of that ground. It was now valued at $17,295 an acre. 5 years, almost a doubling in value. So the money you set aside now is going to go less and less and less in value because of the pressures that exist in Upper Island Township for housing. And I don't think you're going to be able to stop that. That's a steamroller. Food for thought. Thank you.
But Kent, isn't it our best shot to stop it if we're going to, or slow it down versus doing nothing?
Slow it down a little bit. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, there's those that act like the program's going to fail or have all this surplus money. And
I'll say this, those of us that have preserved our ground, I think we deserve some credit. We didn't have to preserve our ground. Barry didn't have to preserve his ground. Kathy Stoner didn't have to preserve her ground. Rupert didn't. That was Vance Weber that preserved that ground. None of those people had to preserve their ground. They made a choice. And the fact that this program does give the property owner that choice, I think that's probably a good thing. Now, whether they'll choose to, that's, the ball's in their court. We're supposed to have private property rights in this country. They've been eroded. If I don't pay my property tax, I'm going to lose my property. I worked for it all my life. And if I don't pay property tax on it, it's gone. So when people talk about elevating the property tax, I think that's already a very imperfect tax. And I think about my situation. If you own a $600,000 home, you're paying a lot less in property tax than I am. What do you think I pay in property tax?
Well, you'd be in clean and green, and it would just
I am
be
in
your,
clean and green.
it'd be your buildings.
But I got a lot of buildings and I've improved them. So what do you think I pay in property tax? Over $20,000.
I was going to say 20.
Over $20,000. How many people out here that are making $500,000 a year are paying $20,000 in property tax? And I'm not making anywhere near $500,000. I haven't smelled that, not even close. So.
And I've been trying to make the point, the assessments, we're 15 years out from the last county reassessment, 2011.
Well, they came to my
And
property a couple years
like,
ago
I
and
use
jacked us up.
my poster child is the CVS. Older store been here, assessed at 4.8 million. The 7-Eleven comes in and it gets assessed at 1.6 million, a third of it. And that's just not fair. And then the other one is the Mod Wash. Mod Wash comes in assessed at 740,000. There's the Aqueduct car wash across the street, the little tiny two bay, $700,000. So how is that fair? Why, this, like, let's look at a millage increase. And of course, I learned long ago, if you don't pay, back years ago in Harrisburg, there was an older woman in a wheelchair and she couldn't pay her taxes. The sheriff came and they took her out of the house. And I always realized the power of long arm of the law when it comes to real estate tax. And
it's one of the most
no choice.
inequitable taxes that we have. It's not a progressive tax. It's regressive.
But thanks, Ken.
It really is.
Okay. Anybody else wish to speak? Okay. I saw Eppie's hand up first.
Eppie Rigney, 605 Lavina Drive. I did not intend to speak. However, sitting here listening, I have to agree with Ken as far as the timeline. I am well retired. And by the way, I use the parks a lot. Thank you for wonderful parks. But if I were a working person with a young family voting on this referendum with my earned income tax being taxed, and a referendum comes about with the idea that the advisory group is going to make the rules and we don't know what they are, I would think twice about voting for the referendum. I'm all for preserving land, but I think if you really want the young population who's going to be paying this tax, you have to have a few more specifics to tell them.
Okay. I saw other hands. How about Barry? And we'll work our way back there. Okay.
The older of the rocks.
He did. Barry Strock, 815 Williams Grove Road. And my wife and I both own a 106-acre farm along the Williams Grove Road. We preserved back in early 2000. But what I wanted to say was my parents bought that farm back in the early 50s. They poured their lives into that farm. They made it a successful dairy operation. They loved the property, and so did I. And luckily, my wife loves that property too. But what I wanted to say, through many years, my parents were fond and proud to own that farm. I made a promise to them that I would keep that farm as long as I could keep that farm. And I think we followed through with that. When my parents died, I fought in court 6 years with my siblings because they wanted development money. And I wanted to keep the farm a farm. Eventually, the court ruling came down that they were going to buy the farm, or I was going to buy the farm, or it was going up for public sale. Now, we thought about this, my wife and I rolled over in bed wondering about this mortgage. We took out 2 mortgages. And at that time, 25 years ago, the payments were over $4,000 a month. We knew we can pull it off for a year, maybe a year, and then we were in trouble. I was working at PennDOT full time, and my wife dipped into her mother's inheritance to help. I was pulling out of my savings account, and luckily, the Cumberland County Ag Preservation Board, I put in an application, and because we were so developable, we were picked pretty quickly. And that's what saved me. Otherwise, that farm probably would be a housing development today. That's what saved our farm. In closing, I am very much in favor of the preservation program. The Ag Preservation Program has a lot of rules and regulations, and they enforce them very well. They do an annual inspection on the farm every year to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Upper Allen is poised to maybe pass a referendum for ag preservation. And I would suggest that you follow the same path as Silver Spring. They have a proven system, and that's the way I would go. Maybe Upper Allen has the chance to save somebody like Cumberland County saved me. And that's all. Thank you.
And it'll allow, yeah, thank you. Sure, you know, Barry, it helps pass a farm to the next generation too, especially if there's siblings or something like that, or a split, it can help that way. Or convert a farm to agritourism, kind of like what Kent does, convert the buildings and so forth, to use the money that way. I saw other hands. I see Josh. Who? Oh, okay.
Hey, good evening, Commissioners. Josh Brown, 834 Grantham Road. I wanted to publicly thank Jennifer Clark for the invite to the small group session that we had last week on Tuesday. She called me at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The meeting was at 6:30 here at the Township Building. Myself and a couple others that were here were fortunate to make it. I just wanted to say thank you for that. Thank you for that invitation. I also I'm probably one of the youngest guys in here to just say, hey, I do pay earned income tax. I just had to fill out my form for work. You know, you have 24,000 residents, you have 15,000 potential voters, you have 63 earned income taxpayers, and I'm one of those guys. The one thing that just wasn't mathing with me was whenever it was up on the screen earlier, was the earned income tax with the $350-ish or whatever. I'm going to put it on record here. I my earned income tax directly from my pay stub from last year for the township was $1,925.25 paid into the township. So I'm not sure how that math was mathing. It was posted just a couple hours ago, so I really didn't have enough time to really sit and digest everything with it.
Is that township or school district too?
No, that was just the township because it's actually in my payroll under ADP for Upper Allen Township. Nothing with the.
We can all figure out what
you could.
You're in the upper echelon.
You could figure it out. There's transparent. I'll just be honest with you. But the point is that for being one of the young guys here, just wanted to point that out, that if this does go through and it is voted by what the statistics I gave you, I would be one of those guys affected. But yeah, no, I just wanted to thank, Jennifer for the invite. I do feel like it was rushed. I mean, thankfully I didn't, I could cut the grass the next day. I mean, Robin and I have mowing wars sometimes, well, I'm sorry, John. John's the mower here. So, but yeah, no, thank you. That's all.
So Josh, I see some of your posts on Facebook and
Yeah.
you're quoting from the Save Upper Allen website about no tax increase.
Mhm.
Like, I don't feel I'm raising anybody's taxes by putting forth the referendum or supporting it.
Mhm.
It's the voters who are going to decide whether they want their taxes raised. So I think there's a distinction there.
Mhm. Yeah, there is, but you have to just look at the big picture. That's all. Just calling a spade is spade. Thank you.
Good evening, Ralph Klein, Peter, 103 Bishop Road. I just want to go on record. I think the earned income tax is onerous and bad policy. I think if we're going to go through with this program, I think all the residents of Upper Allen Township should participate. On a human interest side, our middle son and their family live in Kimberly Meadows. They have a special needs son. And we were talking and he said, we're going to get a tax increase. And I don't know if you're paying attention to the young voters today. They don't want tax increases. So I don't know if it's possible to send a survey to those 6,300 or 7,000 people that would be affected. Because I think 150 people responding to a survey is nothing. I think we have to get more participation. So is it possible to mail to the people that are potentially going to have to pay this and get their input? Other than that, I don't know. I don't have an option in mind, but I just think it's bad policy and it's an onerous tax. And I just wanted to be on record with that. And I know, you, Eric, you mentioned no tax increase. My son actually brought that up to me. He said, it's on their website. No tax increase. And they're promoting a referendum that says we're going to be taxed. So how do you square that?
The people decide.
No, but how do you, yeah, but you're promoting that. That's all I'm saying.
I think they're two
You
different
came up with a
things,
referendum.
and I think they're two different things.
Well, I disagree. I disagree.
Yeah, well,
So-
that's what.
That's my 41-year-old son saying, how do you square that when Commissioners Fairchild and Walsh said, we're in favor of open preservation, no tax
You really-
increase,
really-
no tax increase.
Really square the equation. We also said we could save millions, and that comes from Generations Park. 15, 17 million was just quoted the other night of projects at Generations Park. Whereas if they're development projects, which is your business, Ralph, to do.
I'm retired. I'm
I know,
retired.
you used to be pyramid construction, but, so yeah, 15, 17 million. But if you leave it passive, if you just stop with the trails and do something, low key, you can save millions of dollars at that park. So that's where.
Has
a
that
lot
been
of
presented?
comes from.
Has that been presented?
I've been suggesting it for any number of years now.
Well,
Other people have
I've just
thought that.
started coming to the meetings the last year or two, so.
Yeah, no.
But, I'm
Yeah.
just saying what the younger voters are
Right,
feeling.
you referenced you said your son. or
Yeah,
something.
41 years old,
Right. And Kimberly
special
Bennett.
needs kid,
Right.
working mother,
Mhm.
saying another tax increase.
Yeah, well, is it
That's
$100
all I'm saying.
or what? So, okay. Yeah, the lady here.
Claudia Ward, 813 Grantham Road. I'm really glad I came tonight. I'm hearing everybody's view. This input is really, really good because I only have my view. When I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah. But I tell you, I still want to save the land. I still want to preserve the land. I'll tell you why. I've lived here for 20 years. I love the way this area is. This village is beautiful. It's changed, though. I see a lot of creeping development. I chose to live in a place like this. It's hard to find a place like this. If I have to pay a little more in my taxes each year, it's worth it because I'm not going to find another place like this. Okay? Because everywhere you see development, development, development. This is where, if I was a young person, this is the kind of town I'd want to raise my kids in. This is the kind of place, and you have to pay for what you get. You can't get it for free. And that's just my point of view, and I just wanted to put it out there.
So you said 20 years,
Yeah.
which is about my tenure, just in Upper Allen. And the millage went from 0.25 mils to 2.75 mils in 20 years.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, to me, it's because of the development.
Yeah.
Each time we do more development and take on more roads and sewer and stormwater and all that, it's just a future liability. And
And
of
if
course,
you-
you need the police, all the services that come with it. And it's like the existing people who came here for the beauty and all that are paying for the new people to move in. And yeah, what's fair? Yeah.
And I think that that's an important point. As one of, I guess I'll put myself in the new people because I'm 10 years, no, gosh, I'm 15 years. But we're all paying, and I'm one that will be paying in the EIT. So I kind of feel like I'm speaking for that group a little bit at this table. And we are definitely feeling strapped, to your point. It's just being stretched and stretched and stretched. But I do hear that the school tax is going up again. And I think part of that is due to the development, which is kind of ironic. It's like you're going to pay for it
There's
here, you're
more
going to pay for it
people.
here.
There's more
Yeah,
kids in the
more
school.
kids.
Yeah.
My
that's gonna-
son's going into 8th grade, and he has been in a building under construction every year that he's been in Mechanicsburg School District since kindergarten.
And if you wait, it's going to develop more. There's going to be less land to preserve. I mean, it just seems like every year I see another apartment complex being grown, not stores, I'm sorry, but more homes being built. So it's so fast that if you keep waiting, there'll be no land to preserve. So that's just my point of view.
Great. Oh, no. But, yep. No, the lady back there is coming, but well.
And then there's a man, you're third.
Deborah Stafford, 816 Flintlock Ridge Road. I just want to make a couple comments and observations, just not necessarily, it's related to land preservation, but just in general. Since I've been coming to the meetings, I have noticed that there have been a lot of times where questions are asked and the answers aren't available. And sometimes they're answered later and other times they aren't ever answered, just like Mr. Brenneman, bringing up questions that he said he's asked before and haven't been answered. And to kind of piggyback on what Ms. Fauci said, you should be able to answer those things because these are things you should know before you're putting forward the idea of a referendum or whatever you're putting forward. And I think this has been both with the Bishop Ridge and with this situation. I sometimes feel like we come here and we've got someone like a teacher telling us all the information. And then when we come up and ask questions, the teacher doesn't know the answer to the questions. And the next time we come to the meeting, it's the same information given out again, and the answers are not there. And it's frustrating to think that, you're here trying to get information and you don't get the information you're looking for. And when people are questioning, oftentimes they're accused of not being supportive or being difficult. And I just think it's unfair when I've heard 4 times at least about the gentleman in Silver Springs Township that sold his land. And I think it was admirable for it to be done, but I've heard it 4 times. But I don't stand up and say you're being repetitive. And so when someone asks a question again that was not answered, they shouldn't be chastised and told that they're being repetitive. You should get the answer for them. And this has been through Bishop Ridge and through this. I just feel like sometimes the information that wants to be given out gets pushed out, and the information that maybe isn't favorable to what you're trying to do does not get discussed or shared because you might not get the outcome that you're looking for. And I don't think that's transparency, and I don't think that's treating your residents correctly. And I think that should be food for thought. And maybe if we got the information, people wouldn't seem so adversarial or so frustrated when they come up here to speak. Thank you.
Yeah, Deborah, I would like to explain, or I think last time you were at the public forum, you were looking for information kind of on the Land Preservation Review Board,
Yes.
like Silver Spring. And then we've been having this issue, or we want to put out what's factual, object, reliable. And then we were having a process where the whole board was to review what goes on the website. And it kind of slowed things down. Like I have that information. If you'd give me your email or something, or tell Alexis.
It shouldn't just be
No, I
me.
know, but my hope was it's already on the website.
Right.
You know, I wish it was.
Right.
Because.
But the problem is, it's not just me. When I ask a question, I'm assuming other people out there have the same question.
You understand too, it's beyond the referendum.
I understand. I'm just saying in general.
I know.
This has been the case. We come and it's like, well, the commissioner, they just got the letter today and they're just looking at it now. So not even all the commissioners have all the information sometimes, you know? And I think that makes everything feel rushed and makes everything feel like, are you all properly informed before you make a decision or not? So that's just where I'm coming from.
Anyone else? Oh, we'll take him then, Linda.
Bill Martin, 902 Hertzler Road. Just want to say, again, I'm for preservation. I just think it needs to make sense. I think it needs to bear on everybody to participate. You know, it shocks me that you say that millage and tax for schools, you know, is a concern, but this one's really small and it won't hurt as much. You know, I worked my tail off to be above that line. And unfortunately in this country, the harder you work, sometimes, you know, the more burden you bear. And I just think that having the right facts, just if we pause this for November doesn't mean that the work stops. The work can go on behind the scenes to get the answers, to get groups together. 150 participants is a tiny number out of 20-some thousand. We can plan and and that's going to help your cause to get this through. Just because it passes in November doesn't mean we can go and preserve this land tomorrow. If we're still working on it, we can still work towards preserving that land and be at a better position. The biggest concern for me is we're estimating $900,000 a year is going to be collected, correct?
Mm-hmm.
If each of those landowners tells the township to pound sand, and it can't be a new referendum for 5 years, we're sitting on almost $5 million. What's happening with that money? Does that come back to us? Do you guys keep it? Do you reallocate it? I think that's a very important question that needs to be addressed. And I just don't feel that we have the answers to make the necessary decision. I think a equal tax, a flat rate, call it a special tax for preservation where everybody is taxed. The land preservation consultant said it's just a JoJo's Pizza a week. Well, then everybody can make that sacrifice, not just the 7,000 that are in earned income.
Anyone else? Linda, sorry.
Linda Strock, 815 Williams Grove Road in Mechanicsburg. I didn't know anything about this survey. I wonder, all the people that didn't fill out the survey, did they know about the survey? We didn't know about it. None of us sitting over here know anything about the survey that was up there. Was it mailed out? How did the survey get to us?
I think that's a good question. It's online, but you know, I've signed up for the township alerts. I never got an alert that way. And I thought we were doing something like that, a blast call or some kind of blast text.
Which survey are you referencing?
The one that started Friday, isn't that what you're asking about?
No,
The survey?
she's talking about the Fall Fest survey.
Yeah, the one where all the people voted on what they mostly were interested in and preservation.
Preservation.
That is the one that Commissioner Walsh referred to in
Yes, the Fall Fest
That was,
survey.
but that
That
was,
was last year.
that was last year's.
She's
Correct.
asking about the one that came out on Friday.
Didn't even know about, we don't know about that one either.
Right.
How are we supposed to know about these surveys, these people that don't even know about them? None of my neighbors or friends know about the survey. To have participated or to participate. Are they mailed out?
No, they're online.
There's so few people I would think if you would get a survey like that, you would respond to it. If nobody responded, nobody got it.
That's why there's only 150 responses.
So isn't there a better way to get the survey to us, like mail it? I don't have
Mailing
this.
It would cost a lot of money
Well, then
is
you'd get
one of the
no
issues.
I'm not gonna get any answers if I don't get the survey and nobody I know got the survey. So we could not participate.
No.
This,
I'm mass text like you do when there's a weather alert or a
That's what I thought of
Don't
going out under
know.
the system.
snow alert or something would go to everyone's cell phone or something. We didn't know that.
For other things and it fell through.
Let's just hire out Republic Services. I mean, they're the experts at texting everybody. Right. Excuse me, I couldn't resist.
So that was my.
But yeah, we needed to make, I think, a better effort. I mean, that would help. We have 10 days left on the survey. But I thought, what was it you're promoting, Keldine, the new service or whatever, civic something.
Savvy Citizen.
Savvy Citizen. But
Yes,
that's not here yet.
We were on a tight timeline to get this work done, so the only way we could do it was Facebook and online. We'd be happy to extend it if you'd like.
No, I think it's the question of using the
We
notification.
won't know about that one either, because.
We can,
Online.
we can arrange for a blast phone call.
That's what I thought was done.
No, that was never
What does blast
discussed, but,
phone call mean?
well, whoever's number that we have on the list, and I think there was what, 12,000?
12,000 something, yeah.
On the old system, which is also part of the reason that we're shifting to a new system, but that won't be live till July 15th. We can extend the survey if you'd like.
Not everyone is on that blast system, are they?
No, not
Yeah,
on the
so
old system.
that's a voluntary, and I don't know if you are or not. So to your point, Linda, it's pretty difficult to get 100% notification out. We're not prepared, but there is the system. Do you get like the snow alerts and well, then you're on that system. So if we had the blast system, that would be a way to, but I think at this point, we have 2 weeks left. If we do a blast system, is that long enough? I think Keldine raises a decent point, but I don't know.
We can do the blast call tomorrow, but if we were doing a mailing or anything else, waiting for a Savvy Citizen, then we would have to extend the timeline, which means your results wouldn't be as you had requested.
Mr. Walsh, I wanted to go with your thought on the best time to have planted a tree is 20 years ago. The best time to have spayed and neutered your pet was yesterday. I think time is of the essence. And once the value of land keeps going up, land keeps diminishing, we should get on this. We should have planted the tree 20 years ago and spayed and neutered our pet yesterday.
And then if you get the language to the county, the whole reason for doing that is so the voters have 90 days to consider it and to be made aware. And then isn't the polling place, really the best survey of all? But here again, it's how do you get the information out to people? And there could be signs and any number of things within that 90 days. But unless we head down that road, we're not going to make it.
We're talking about the money. How to get the money from the people. Some people want this earned income tax and some people don't because it's not fair to everyone. And some people want everyone to have the tax and some people don't. Why isn't there a way to split it? Half of the money come on an earned income tax and then have a very small, each one of them would be smaller.
Absolutely. For the ones homeowners that are over the retirement age.
Mm-hmm.
Totally agree.
a compromise.
That way everybody's participating in it.
And then,
So-
yeah.
I'm not in the $1 million or the $500,000.
This is going to be hard for me, but I want to
suspect you
participate.
have a lot more disposable income if you're in that bracket. But
mean,
so
I-
even if it's $100,000 a year you're making, it would be $100. Is that deal breaker? Just to set up the accounting to split it and put some on real estate just seems kind of crazy to me. Either you really want to do it or you believe in it or you don't.
Or you can't afford it. Some people.
Well, or it's perceived as more equitable because it involves more residents. Commissioner Clark has suggested that internally before, and I think it's an idea worth pursuing. And again, my point that we need to do more homework to try to figure out what our options are. I mean, you when you plant the tree, you know what variety you're going to plant and where you're going to plant it. And when you spade the animal, you know if it's a cat or a dog, and it better be, and you know if it's a male or a female. And I would suggest if we're going to go out and ask the voters to endorse a changing progressive program like preserving land, that we have some answers and some schedules and plans before we do it. But so I like your analogy.
I think, Karen, you belittled the horse farm on Market Street much more than I would like you to. I think that's very important. And that's the first thing I wish we could have preserved, that wonderful property, and spare those people in Webercroft the hell they're going through and the expense they're going through. That is agricultural land. And the people in this township voted to put that industrial commercial crap on agricultural land. And I will never understand it, that everyone that came to this meeting was completely ignored. People came from out of the area to beg and plead not to do that. And this township board voted 4-1 to kick us in the groin, all of us. All of us were just completely dismissed on our feelings and our wants, and the reason everyone here got voted in. I will never get over that or trust completely government ever for ignoring what happened to that property. That beautiful property will be a disaster. I wanted to know why you're so concerned about the future land preservation when all of these people that came to try to preserve our already agricultural land, which I keep calling it Joanne Hawker's horse farm. It isn't exactly her property, and we all got completely steamrolled over with the decision of the board to allow that Triple Crown money is what it was, to screw us all out of that beautiful property. What I wanted to say, and I'm still with time is of the essence. Do it now. Do it now before the land's gone. Thanks.
Could I just have some clarification? So we'll do the blast call tomorrow. Is there anything else that you would like us to do in regards to the survey?
No, no, I don't think so.
It means they might not be doing something else that you wanted if they're doing that. She's giving you a choice. Do you want that or do you want?
What's your choice? I mean, I thought it was pushing some buttons on a machine to do it, correct?
Nothing takes 5 minutes. It's a day.
Well, yes. Alexis, would that be fault to you, or how long would it take to do that? Or Keldine, I mean.
We have to change something else if we choose to work on that tomorrow that you were already scheduled to do. That's what, you have choices. It's opportunity cost. There's something else you were doing tomorrow and you're not going to do it because this. Yeah. So did you want to ask what we'll put down in a lower priority to choose to do this? maybe it's something
If
that
you
you
want to
want.
ask it, I mean, it seems a very high priority to me.
Yeah,
for-
but the
for
other
2
thing
hours.
they were gonna do was probably for you, and you might be surprised when, oh, well, you wanted us to do this, but now we'll stop that and now we'll do this.
Well,
That's,
We can make that work. It's fine.
Okay.
and I think, Karen, I appreciate your respect for staff, and I believe that Alexis probably after tonight is gonna work the rest of the week on minutes. And so I would say if it takes an extra couple days to get the minutes out, so be it. Would that be a favorable trade-off? Eric?
Yeah, I didn't know what you meant. I
Would that
thought,
be
oh, do you
acceptable,
want to
Eric?
work Saturday and Sunday to get
No.
all that done? No. When's the comp time come in?
No, I think you have raised a good question, and so I was just trying to suggest
Yeah.
maybe an alternative that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think he was suggesting push the minutes back, have her work on the minutes
Yeah.
later.
Okay.
That's what he was.
Yeah,
suggesting.
thank you.
yeah, I'm good with that. I'm just
Well, I was
messing with
looking at
you.
Eric.
Oh,
I think I think she puts the minutes into an auto transcriber and whatever. You probably-
Not typically.
Minutes to seconds, and you got it handed.
Say-
That was a
Change
one-off.
the minutes to seconds and you got it handed.
Yeah. All right. I didn't hear Alexis. What?
Typically, I don't put it through AI. Typically, I manually transcribe it.
So if you want to wait,
System last week.
you know, I didn't know what was better for you that way. If
It depends on how you want the minutes to be. If you want them to be extremely detailed, like you have been getting, then that takes time.
Sure.
It just takes time.
And I think the reason you did AI last time is because our sound system wasn't working well.
No, it's because I was just rushed,
Oh, I'm sorry.
to be serious.
yeah.
let us finish this, or where are we? Or that the will that she devote the 2 hours to that, defer the minutes? Is that what we're saying?
Just say I'm not comfortable dictating how staff does things, and I would refer to Caldine to manage her staff's time. I see a priority in getting a phone blast out to let people know about the survey, whether that happens on Thursday or Monday after the holiday. That is up to you to manage, and I'm not stepping in
It's
that.
probably, we said what, July 10th? So
July 10th for what?
close out the survey, and then what we say. So, yeah, you have time. She could,
I mean, you bring up a good point. The most effective way is probably put it out Monday when people are back from holidays. You put it out tomorrow, they're traveling and having picnics and everything else.
Yeah.
So that's why I would suggest we put it out the beginning of next week after the holiday season, and then consider extending the survey for 5 days. It's an online survey. Does that help or not? Okay. But you raise an interesting question, Linda. If someone doesn't have access to technology, could they come to the township office and pick up a hard copy to fill out? Oh, Ally says yes. So I would suggest whenever you put the blast out, Keldine, that you tell them that where it's available electronically, but also mention that if you prefer, you can pick up a hard copy at the township office. I think that would be a good alternative.
Okay. And not to further this conversation, but the timeline that was given, that's talked about, so you're going to advertise the ordinance in whatever changes you may or may not make this evening. You're going to vote to advertise it on the 15th. If the survey is extended, well, we can close it that morning and then you'll have your results.
I didn't see a need to extend it, but July 10th seems enough. You have a whole week past the holiday, basically.
But no, but you won't be putting the announcement, Eric, out until the 6th. That's 4 days.
Mhm.
Pardon?
Still 5 days if they get it in the morning.
Yeah, they're gonna do it. They'll do it, I think. Okay.
Rush.
Anybody else? Well, There were more, but go ahead, make it quick.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, you're that.
Joe Bitzer, 607 Keswick Court. Thanks everyone for your time this evening. I would just like to reiterate that we can stay here and debate this for hours upon hours, like we have. The decision should be up to the voters, and we should not wait on that. I was here last week to say, if you wait till 2027, way fewer people participate in that election than they do in a gubernatorial year. It is important just to get it on the ballot. There is plenty of time. Voters aren't even thinking about elections until September or October. So we have plenty of time to educate people. This is not something new and experimental. About 45 to 50% of first-class townships have this already in place. Maybe we need to work out some of the details, but again, in the end, it's up to the voters. For years, the taxpayers of Upper Allen Township have come before previous boards complaining about one development or another. And the answer that they have always gotten was, we can't do anything because our hands are tied. Well, there was something that they could do. They could have passed this years ago, and they chose not to. So I believe that the time is now, and if we wait, it's only going to make it harder. So I think we should do it now. Thank you.
Now maybe Robin, I don't see any other hands.
Just a quick
Okay.
question, and I'm sorry, ma'am. If this tax is included in real estate tax, because quite frankly, everybody, we as a group, a township, we should all be paying. I'm retired, my husband's retired, but we still own our own home. And to make this township better, I'm willing, and I don't know how other people feel about it, but I'm willing to pay a small percent of my taxes to keep this township undeveloped anymore. So what is, has anyone figured out the percentage it would be if it went to homeowners as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, a mill generates $238,000.
So just 1 mil.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I have, this is from Brandywine Conservancy. I mean, do you want it to pass?
Do I want this to
Yeah.
pass?
Do you want land preservation?
Love to have land
Yeah.
preservation. I've seen this township grow
71.
way too much.
This tells you right here, 71 out of 125 referendums use the earned income tax. 57% pass rate. 10% were for property taxes. So I was trying to put it to Jennifer the other day. You take yourself from a 57% likelihood down to a 10% likelihood by messing with the taxes.
By mixing.
Well, that's even worse.
Honestly.
One, do you have this one?
No.
I have extra copy. 1%. You start mixing it, you drop your odds down to 1% chance of success. So the great minds are adding that complexity versus just keeping it simple. I think it's progressive, the earned income tax, but.
Thank you. Well, maybe I'll go get a part-time job so I can pay earned income tax and
Joe
pay
said,
this. There you go.
Many have gone before us, and Silver Spring is the closest, leading example. Earned income tax, it passed by 60%. I don't think we're that different from Silver Spring in terms of educational or demographics and so forth.
Okay, all right. Well, I just thought, I'm willing to pay. I don't want this township to be developed anymore.
And I've actually got a couple of emails from people saying, well, I'm retired, it wouldn't apply to me, but I would donate toward a program, which is really nice to hear.
Okay, thank you.
So, okay.
Kelvin in the back.
Okay.
Get the word out we only found about this through Facebook, about the survey. So they need to get word of phone blast. I don't think there was any mention in newsletter. Was there a newsletter at all? But I think there's another opportunity.
The newsletter went out way before the
Right.
survey was conceived
Before
of.
they considered, okay. The other thing, when you do the survey, I don't know who does the wording of that. Could they change it so you have 5 items listed? What do you care about? Noise, population, conservative, whatever. They say which is most important or least important. Could they list each one individually? If you have 5 items there, you might be very passionate about 4 and not care about the last one, but you have them on the first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Each one of them might rank number 1 in their opinion or number 5 in their opinion, but you have them rated down so one's top and one's bottom. If you limit or list them each individually, you can say, this, I'm very passionate about this. I could care less about this. So you're not segregating them into the most important, least important. You list each one. This is very important, very important, very important, not important.
I don't think you could change it because then you would
Maybe not this
mess up
time.
the
next time you have another
methodology of the
survey.
survey
Yeah.
because you already had it.
Your ideas are good, Kelly, for the
Individually.
future, but we can't do that.
Right, I understand, but this one each individual. Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
I think
Clarity, when you say it would be a mill for $238,000, that's a tenth of a mill.
1/10 of a mil.
Excuse me. Big difference.
Right, yeah.
You were saying a mill, it's a tenth of a mill generates $238,000because.
Because we're at 2.75. Yeah, it was a
Right.
10th. That's
So
correct.
1/10
That's
of what
correct.
you really
Yeah.
stated. And then another point of clarity, just for Kent, 74 was not the last time that we rezoned. We rezoned in 17 also, but 74 was the big one that changed a lot of the township. And actually.
First one is 65.
Yes, back in 65 was the beginning. 74 was a big change. And that's when we should have done this. Because in 74, we looked like Silver Springs looked in 13.
That's when they should.
We don't look anything at all like Silver Springs anymore. They're much larger. They have much more in the way of undeveloped land, and they have the Carlisle Pike. And the last point of interest is Eric keeps raising the fact that taxes went up dramatically over 20 years. They did, and he knows why. I've said it several times. When I got on the board, I found out that this township was broke. The prior boards had attempted to keep taxes as low or lower than Hampton Township. As the township grew, they reduced taxes twice. We had more highway to maintain. We had one police officer on duty at night. We had to go out and float a bond to buy a fire truck. And we couldn't stay that way. In fact, we were going to not be able to make payroll in 6 months. So we had a choice. We raised taxes, the biggest tax increase in the history of the township, and accounts for most of that increase. Eric knows that. We've talked about this several times. And since then, the tax increases have been very modest, but we had to make one big tax increase or the township would have failed. We couldn't do it. So.
Well, you can get the data year by year through the DCED website,
Yeah.
right?
You can go back and you can see in the
it-
90s how the
It
taxes were
really
reduced.
started picking up in 2013, 14, when the Winding Hills and all that started coming in.
I don't think so. I think the big
We can all, yeah.
the big increase was when we had to turn the township around. They'd floated a bond to buy the first ladder truck. And they borrowed extra money because the cost of borrowing is consistent. So they bought extra money, didn't know what to do with it. We bought Winding Hills North. That's how we got the basis, the 25 acres for Winding Hills North, because they had over $500,000. They didn't know where they could spend it. And we bought that at $25,000 an acre. And that was the most expensive purchase in the township ever at that point. So.
All righty. I think that's it for public comment. Do we want to work on what changes in the language of the ordinance? Want to go through it from the beginning, and if somebody has a proposed change, yay or nay or whatever.
Get an ordinance tonight and over.
So the boilerplate on top is mostly prescribed. I think people know that.
I'm sorry, are you talking about the preamble, the beginning there?
Yeah, an ordinance.
Sure.
Well, the question's prescribed, not.
Okay,
the
that's
ordinance at the beginning is not, Josh, right? Or it follows.
The summary at the beginning is not prescribed by the statute.
Okay. But the question itself is prescribed.
Yes, the form of the question.
Section 2.
it has to be in that form.
What section? I have a comment in section 1. Are you in section 2?
No, I was up at the
Oh,
preamble.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Eric. I thought I heard you say section 2 and I thought we didn't go over section 1 yet, but.
The only thing in the preamble would be the rate. Well, it's so 0.1% of VIT is in the preamble. If it's going to be a property tax or a mixture of the two, then we would have to amend that. But other than that, I don't think there's anything else to amend in the preamble.
Well, it's, yeah, and it's also in the first paragraph of section 1 intent. And, I would prefer, I'm with Jennifer. I'd rather see a mix of a township, or maybe not prescribed. Could we just say something like it would be taken from additional earned income tax or property tax or a combination thereof, and then leave it?
No, the exact rate and tax has to be voted on by the voters, so it has to be prescribed.
I don't know how to divide that up to reach the goal that we have. And I guess that's my question when we're looking at changing this language. I would like for it to be a combination of property tax and EIT, understanding that that puts us in a little bit of a lesser likelihood of passing. I do feel like what we've heard from folks is there's interest in doing that. And that, to your point too, you said you've heard from folks who are retired and interested in doing it. I think it takes the burden and spreads it out over everyone in the township and not just on those who are paying into the EIT. I don't know how though, Josh, to recommend changing that because I don't know the amounts, how that would reduce the increase in EIT and what our required millage increase would be to reach that same level.
The way you would get to it, you want to figure out how much total money do you want to raise. I think what's on the floor is if we raise the EIT by 0.1%, that you would be raising around $900,000.
Right.
So, and Eric has said what the millage increase would have to be. So we can figure it out mathematically. Do you want to make it 50%
Maybe you
EIT?
can. I'm not that smart.
Do you want to make it 50% EIT, 50%?
Like 50%
Yeah.
EIT, 50%.
50% EIT, 50% property tax increase.
I would support that.
Yes. What I would recommend is if that's the direction you give me, I can do the math after the meeting.
Thank you. Me sitting up here doing it would just not work. But I appreciate that.
I don't support that, but maybe Karen does, or we know Ken does. But you have an opinion, Karen or Phil first, or who? Phil.
Maybe you can clarify in simplistic terms why you wouldn't be able to support the 50-50. Just explain for me if you don't
Because
mind.
It has
Why?
a 1% chance of success.
Okay, so
compared to a 57% chance of success.
So read that. Can you read the language there that leads up to the 1% success?
1% was for a joint earned income and property tax.
And that had a 1% chance of passing?
1% chance.
Of passing in the
Yeah,
referendum.
but wait a minute. But how many municipalities is that referencing? What is the?
157.
Okay, and so how many of the 157 proposed the joint tax that Jen's suggested?
One.
It's not that it's less likely to pass.
It's just that only one
But
did
it's
it.
less likely.
Well, that's
be an
that's disingenuous. That's quite different. You said it was a probability of passing. What you're suggesting is that few other municipalities have taken the route that she's suggesting, correct? But it doesn't, it has absolutely nothing to do whether or not it passed.
So we know the 157, I think 124 have passed. There's an 80% pass rate. And maybe it's 57% of the 80% were earned income. But this is like the summary, but the We Can Serve, one handbook went through each referendum and what the success was, what year. and so forth.
I don't think I'm basing my comments not on the success rate. I'm basing it on what I perceive to be an equity issue. So that's it. I think. Do you want to take a comment from Eric?
Yeah, Eric. Got it.
Eric Manning, 309 East Meadow Drive. If you have 4 children, you're pregnant, the next child to be for 4 girls, the chance that the next child is a girl is 50%, not 20%. What has been passed in the past doesn't predict what will happen in the future. So I think you should not rely on statistics on what other towns should do. This is Upper Allen. As somebody stated before, you should listen to the constituents, what people are asking for. And I think Jennifer is wording it right, that the consent, the overall feedback is, please distribute it the best you can. You cannot distribute it on 22,000 people because children don't pay tax. But if you find a combination with those who are working and those who own property, it's the best way of trying to come to consensus and compromise. I urge you to stop quibbling and wordsmithing or driving your own personal agenda. Listen to the voters, to the residents that are still here missing out on the US soccer match, that let's get this over with and agree on the language, but be it as in a way that you get support and the highest probability of passing. That's the probability you want, not what was happening in the past.
And I'm not a huge fan of AI, but I'll just say that in summary of that same report that you referred to, AI came up with a bottom line on that question to say that the joint earned income and property tax referendum is a rare type of open space funding tool in Pennsylvania, but when used, it follows the same voter approval patterns as other conservation referendums with a history of strong public support when tied to tangible conservation benefits.
There you go.
But how can you, it's saying it's a real low sample size. Now, can you
It's a rare way to do it.
How much do we trust AI to? And how do you, we're doing this survey, now we're doing a blast call, but yet we heard from what, 30 people here, and should that be representative of the township or what we do tonight?
I think it should help inform it because the survey doesn't have a question, does it? Whether we should fund it with EIT or property tax or a combination. Oh, does it?
I think it does.
Okay.
And what is the answer on that? You know, Ken, because you're kind of clever in what you're doing. You're saying, don't look at the survey.
I never said that.
No, you said,
Don't give me that crap.
It's not crap. You at the beginning, like, we don't want to do that, but we know things from this survey.
Okay, I stood corrected. I didn't realize that question was in.
Okay, yeah.
But you could call me out in public. Go ahead, Eric.
I'm saying you didn't want it to be reviewed, but.
Jean Fauci, 2195 Brunswick Avenue. I will tell you that with this meeting started at 6:30, it is now 9:30 PM. It is 76 degrees in this room. It is not getting any cooler. I don't know that you can get this done tonight. Just listening to you, I don't know that you can get this done tonight. Maybe you table this. Maybe you look at it at a different time. Maybe each of you look at it in an email and redline your suggestions and get them to staff and see if staff can do them. I will tell you, if I had to work tomorrow morning at 8 AM and come back here, I would be darn tired. And I'm going to assume that your staff does. So I would make a suggestion that just listening to all of the disagreement, that move on tonight and finish your meeting and work on this later, because nothing good is coming of this. Thanks for letting me say my piece.
Yep, thank you. Well, I don't think we heard from Karen whether you want the joint kind of thing. Or
Well, I could go with the joint. Yeah, that works for me. Joint EIT and property tax and spread the thing over, let the people who are enjoying the benefits of the quality of life.
I heard what you said, Gene. I'm for wrapping it up so that we get to next week. That's going to be, I think it's that and some of the land or some of the clause of the uses are the only issue, correct?
My concern is always when we don't deliberate these things in public, right?
Right, we're
And I
better-
don't, and I really want to make sure that people understand, because I know there's been a lot of conversation about, us talking about things here and meetings being lengthy, and trust me, I agree, but this is important and I don't want it to look as if we're doing it behind closed doors.
I agree with you. I don't like it. I don't like it either. And I think it's a violation of the Sunshine Law. You can't deliberate privately. I'm not saying that. Take it home, look at it on your own and bring it back when you're prepared. I mean, clearly this meeting, right, went in a direction I think that the board was not expecting in terms of time. And maybe make it your first item, maybe make it your only item. I don't know what staff has on their table. Maybe you call a special meeting just to do this, right? Okay.
I'd be willing to table this. But I also don't want to table it too long, so I would say the next available opportunity.
So I don't, I think we're closer than that. This is your informative, the We Can Serve, the survey, the 157. I go down I'm 3 pages into it, but then I see income tax and property tax, Weston Township, Chester County, November 2022, passed with a 68% approval. So they are very rare. That's it. I only see one. And I think Eric's our math expert, is it? That's a very small sample.
It's not about what other townships have done. Are you listening at all?
Yeah.
Let's just move on with this. You'll hear what the majority commissioners say. Let's compromise here. Do 50-50. Half in EIT, half in property tax, are properly distributed. You don't need to go back to what has happened in the past because that's a rearview mirror. You need to look at what will this township do, put it in front of the voters, go with what the majority of the commissioners say, and know what your personal.
Okay, Eric, but I looked at what the history was, not what AI said. That's all.
Nothing, Chester is a rich man's county, it's completely different.
Yes, Josh.
I know I have no say, but can you guys just close this up? We have a staff that is overworked. And Alexis just said an hour ago that she has been spending so much time and being rushed with trying to do the right thing here. And you have a township manager who is about ready to fall asleep. Sorry, Claudine. I mean, guys, come on. Can we just pick another date? This isn't going to happen. And Gene, thanks for sticking up for everybody here. Appreciate it. Have a great night.
You can't deliberate. It's really hard, like Jennifer says, outside a meeting.
I get that, Eric, but come on.
I think we're close.
Eric,
I agree. If you want to do that, if we're going to do it in November, I think.
I hear you.
November is a good time. So if it takes a compromise 50-50 to do it, I'm fine with that.
I get that, but it's 9:40 at night.
Right.
And you have a staff that comes in at 8 o'clock or Caldina has a staff that comes in at 8:30 in the morning. This staff works their butts off. They do. Can we get this through your heads? This staff does amazing work in this township.
Enough of that. I don't need it. You're interfering with this meeting. That's ridiculous.
You don't like you either.
I know you don't, Brenneman, but no.
Okay.
We are there, I think. The earned income, Karen had an objection about 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Jennifer, let's just get down to the board. I think historic, Ken is good at this. What was your other concern once you scroll down through?
My concern was linking it solely to EIT.
Right. We're there. We just said jointly. Okay.
Eric, thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
I have some reservations about number 2. I don't know what woodlands, stream valleys, or natural resources or habitats are. I heard Phil say that he's willing to strike the historic references, I guess that would be in number 3, wouldn't it, Eric? Or Phil, rather, I'm sorry.
So let's just go through it in order, maybe.
You're the
Agricultural.
president. What do you want to do?
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, it makes, you're telling us your opinion, but let's just do it jointly. Let's go through agricultural conservation easements. I think we were all good on that,
Yeah.
correct?
Yep.
Finance acquisition of open space, you just raised that, Ken. I mean, I like protecting the natural air, the woodlands and all that, and we do have that in Upper Allen, and that's very precious to lose, in my opinion. But you had an opinion, Karen. Did
Yeah.
you have difficulty with that too, Ken or Jennifer?
It's very undefined, but it's okay.
So, but it is prescribed. Josh is giving us what the state, what the Open Space Act provides for.
Correct. That's the language is taken from the Open Space Act.
You have an
Yeah,
issue,
you
Jennifer?
It's not all required. You can
Right.
You can cut
You can
stuff.
He was trying to give us this broad, so, but I don't think Jennifer has an issue. I don't have an issue. Do you have an issue, Ken?
With what? Number
Two.
2?
Number 2.
No, I'll go with him.
He'll go with 2. Bill?
Yeah, I'm good with 2. Yep.
Okay. You want to be the lone holdout, Karen?
Yeah, I'm holding out.
Okay, you're holding strong. Good. Number 3, finance the acquisition of recreation or historic land.
Suggest we put a period after walkways and delete for residents or for historic preservation.
I'm fine with that.
I'm good with that.
After walkways or residents? I don't know. What do you think, Josh? Or we should
Period after
stop at
walkways.
walkways. Okay.
That's fine.
Yep.
Still
We're all
read
good with
properly.
that. Number 4, acquire property development rights.
I'm good with that.
I'm good with that.
We're good. 5, provide open space benefits.
Number 5 is a catch-all that catches every single benefit that could be provided for under the statute. If we're limiting what benefits, it would make sense to keep this catch-all.
You say it would?
It would not make sense to keep this catch-all. If you're,
I
because you're
eliminate
kind
number
of
5.
you're kind of overriding your deletions.
Right,
if you
exactly.
include the catch-all.
I'd scratch 5.
I can scratch 5. I'll go with that.
Good with that.
Okay.
That's it's called the Open Space Acts for reasons, but you don't, you want to scratch 5, Jennifer?
The reason is because we've edited number 3. And to Josh's point, if we leave number 5 in there, it's essentially negating the edit that we made to number 3.
Right. Sounds like we have consensus on that. Question, I think the changing to the joint instead of the 1/10. We want to strike historic lands from that or
Just
not?
the words or historic.
It says or historic lands.
Yeah.
We'll say acquiring recreation lands.
Acquiring recreation lands and acquiring development rights.
If we already have a fund for recreation, why would we be taxing people for more money for that?
We wouldn't be taxing more money. It would just say that of the money we collected could be used for that. I mean, I'm not holding out on that, but I don't think
It's for development of parkland.
Yeah.
Correct? I mean, it's a 0.2 mil. We don't have the budget
trail.
experts here.
And trails, connectors.
No, I'm saying the 0.2 mil we have. Jim
Oh,
probably.
that we
yeah,
already collect is for the parks, yes.
Right, it's for park development.
And maintenance. It's not just for new things.
Well, there's a development, then there's a maintenance, then there's an escrow. So, but
Karen, I just saw this as leaving as many opportunities for the review board as possible on the table, so that we didn't tie their hands in any way. Once we get to the next phase of this, or we have a review board, I didn't want to take too many things off the table, not knowing what things might look like in 5 years.
I understand.
where are we? We're We're through the question.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I didn't want to.
So what are we striking from the question? Historic lands.
Or
That's it.
historic.
Or historic.
Both.
I strike
So if
both.
it reads properly, you're just going to take out or historic. It will read
Oh,
financing,
okay.
acquisition of open space, acquiring conservation
So
easements, acquiring recreation lands, acquiring development.
Two pens that don't write. Okay. And shouldn't the rest pretty much be boilerplate? Josh? There.
Well, the question itself is defined by statute. And then, yes, the rest of the ordinance, so section 3 authorizes, I'm reading it. So if the ordinance passes, section 3 authorizes the appropriate township official or employee to file the necessary paperwork with the election office. And it also authorizes the Board of Elections to cause the referendum to be on the ballot. So that's just, I believe that language is necessary and doesn't really require any amendment. And then the section 4 relates to timing. The way this ordinance is drafted is it must be submitted to the Board of Elections so that it can appear on the 2026 general election ballot. And then the remainder of the clauses, there's a severability clause, which not recommending any changes to. A severability clause means that if a court finds that one benefit was unconstitutional or not provided for under the Open Space Act, that doesn't throw out your entire ordinance. The other things would still be preserved. So I do recommend keeping that in without.
Thanks for explaining that. I didn't know what I meant.
Yeah, and repealer, I don't know if there's any ordinances or parts of ordinances that conflict with this ordinance that we're passing, but in case there are, we put in this so that if there's something from 1902 that would somehow interfere with this ordinance, it's repealed. And then the effective date is, this would become effective immediately upon passage by the board.
So that's it. We're through it.
Okay, just for clarification, you said about the split between the property tax and the EIT. Would you like that to be a 50-50 split to get to the total amount? Or different?
I think it would be 0.2 mils and 0.0.
Well, we can do the formula part.
0.005.
4 actually. It'd be 0.2 mils will give you 516.
Right.
And then if 1/10 generates 900,000, then 1/100 does that generates 90. So 4 times 90 is 360. So it'd be 400s. And that gives you $872,000, which is just about the same.
My second question is, what is the total amount that your goal is?
It was closer to the million, I thought, but.
So
I just
you would
thought
like
you'd split it
the
in half. What's
formula to-
1/10 of 1% is what, 1/20th of a percent.
Why don't do we want to raise 850,000, 900 or a million? And then when we give them the gross number, let them figure out then what comes closest to it in terms of percentage.
Based on your budget numbers,
pardon me?
Based on the budget numbers that you're working under this year, the EIT 1/10 won't generate $900,000. It's closer to $750,000 if you back through the math. So I think saying $900,000 for 1/10 of a mil is extremely generous. Unless something huge blew up between the time we passed the budget and what's going on today. 1/10 of a mil based on the budget numbers you're using. And if your EIT is coming in much higher than you budgeted, well, then maybe 900,000 is legit. But based on those numbers, it's more between 7 and 750 is what you're going to get out of 100, out of 1/10 of 1%. So.
Yeah. Well, let's let staff, or let's let them do the
He said he
arithmetic.
would do the math. I was
What do
looking
you
for.
want to, what do you want to raise? How much money?
Closer to $1 million.
Is that what it
It's
is, $1 million
speculative.
bucks?
Yeah.
Well, then let's just say we want to.
Because Jim, were you looking at prior year and current year? You're adding them both together. That's what you have to do.
For the 10th of the million.
Mhm.
And then I looked at the numbers that we had worked back through at 1/10%.
Right.
Generate based on the budget year you're working on. Numbers were put in this year's budget.
Mhm. And they were like 5 million.
You go with 0.05 VIT.
0.005, that's what I thought. Right, that's what I thought, Eric. We're-
Works out to what it is.
Right, thank you. And that's simple, and that is equitable. It's a split. It's half. We're not overthinking. And it is what it is, what it generates. Okay. And
Eric, in spite of it being summer, you're still a professor. Thank you.
he is.
Full class.
And I want to apologize to you, Josh. I thought we were very close. We are. Compared to the issues of trying to deliberate after the fact and all that, just so you know. And you've seen Congress meet until 3 a.m. and all that kind of stuff. We're not them. We're still before 10 o'clock. So we I think got it done in a fair way.
Alexis, you can put this on the record. I do forgive Commissioner Eric Fairchild for his lash out. So we are all human and you deserve the apology. So I understand, but
I know.
Thank you for
thank you.
Thank you for manning up. Appreciate it.
And I also disagree with a county commissioner who wanted us to take a break. So
I'm not going to lie. I was getting ready to watch that go off.
So
okay.
are we,
Almost done with the West.
so what's next? Is this, can we adjourn?
No, we have one more.
No, we have more stuff to do.
We just have, we should go ahead and change the BOC meeting date.
Wait a minute. So Josh, you're going to come up with a revised or a corrected draft of this? And then is that what we're going to look at and then authorize on the 15th?
Correct, that's
But
what you're
we'll
gonna look
get
at
it
on-
before the 15th.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Absolutely. And it'll be posted on the website before the 15th.
Mr. Chairman, I move we change the BOC meeting from Wednesday, August 5 to Monday, August 3.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Park and Recreation,
No report.
no report. Solicitor update,
Nothing tonight.
Capital Region COG update.
We have the auction coming up, but our township's participating.
Lots of good deals. That's what you usually say, Ken. Municipal Advisory Board update.
Their July 7th meeting is canceled.
Any more public comment?
Oh.
Hearing none. I don't believe we need an executive session. No, okay. We
Motion to
can
adjourn.
adjourn. Thank you. Thanks for bearing with us.